morning.
Welcome to Juice in the Morning. This is a podcast where Shane and I routinely have amazing guests. How you doing today, Shane?
Good, and what you said was just a straight fact.
Exactly. Today with us we have Shadowink.
Yeah.
You guys have seen him on Instagram. You guys have seen him on Facebook. His social media game is on fire. How you doing today, man?
I'm feeling good, bro. How you feeling?
Doing great. Thank you for taking the time out of your day, driving through this snowstorm that we've got coming back through just to do the podcast.
For sure. I'm happy to do it, man.
So Shane and I have upped our game, and we're trying to do a little bit more video. So we do have the camera, and I want to say hi to you guys out there that are doing Facebook Live. Thanks for joining us. If you are joining us, I know it is a little bit late in the evening, but it's still a great time for some podcasting and getting into some subjects. If you guys don't know Shadowink, he is I would say a mogul in the apparel and tattoo industry. So kind of just tell us how you got started and like give a little bit of background about yourself, man.
Ooh, okay. What up? It's your boy Shadow. I would say I've been tattooing for a long ass time. And I've been making music for a long time, and I've been an artist. It's weird not. So I'm just talk to you guys over here. I'm over here like staring at the fucking wall.
You don't have to do that.
Gotcha. Say your question again. How did I get started?
I would say just tell me how you first got started with the tattoo stuff, because that's.
I've been an artist my whole life.
Yeah,
I wanted to be a successful artist. Obviously, my whole life. Well, obviously everybody wants to be successful, but you know how like art is one of those things where it's kind of subjective, where everybody feels like there's no way to make money as an artist. And I feel like I was always really poor growing up. I mean, I've been poor my whole life. Excuse me. And I feel like I really wanted to find a way that was like exciting and fun. And I feel like when I was a kid, the only way that you could think of as a kid was like comic books, and this is before computers were really like a viable source of opportunity as an artist, other than just graphics. And graphics don't seem like art; they seem more like copy and paste, or like mathematical. You know what I mean? And I was doing art because I wasn't drawn to math. I was drawn to art. I was very creative my whole life. So my dad always had tattoos, but he hated them, and everybody in the whole rest of my family didn't have any tattoos. So like it was one of those forbidden things that like my dad hated about himself. So I wasn't supposed to be into tattoos, but I was really drawn to them.
Yeah, I was the same way. My whole family looks at me as like, you know, I got to follow the same way they are. And as soon as I got my first tattoo on spring break in 2006, and it was definitely not something I should have done, because I was intoxicated. B, I was just
all of the above.
I was just asking a guy to do something that I drew while I was drunk, and the guy was like,
"You drew while you were drunk?"
Yeah, and the guy was like, "Oh, I could do that for like $100.
Give me your money."
And I was like, I have 50. He was like, "Well, I could do half, and it'll still look cool." Like he was not a very, I guess, stand-up guy, because I've talked to like.
I wanted to be an artist. My deal was tattooing was not like, I wasn't like, oh, I'll be a tattoo. It wasn't that I wanted to be a tattoo artist. I wanted to be an artist, and I wanted to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
But as a kid, there wasn't a lot of ways that seemed. I didn't know anybody that had made it out of, I guess, the struggle with any kind of other option other than, I didn't know anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I moved to Indiana, and where I grew up at in Phoenix, everybody was tattooed, but it was like a hood thing. So it never seemed like that was a lucrative career choice. So my family was kind of like, nobody in my family had gone to college, but they all wanted us to be the kids that went to college and shit. So I was like, I guess I could go to college for art, but I don't know. I never connected those dots.
Yeah.
Being a tattoo artist was just exciting sounding to me.
And you feel like you have these expectations, like every parent, I'm assuming, because Shane has his daughter, assuming that you want them to have something that, or do something that you didn't do, or achieve something. Achieve something that you didn't achieve. So, you know, I think that seeing the stuff that you've posted and the things I've seen, you're killing it.
Thank you.
The interview that I saw was awesome. It was good to get to know you before this, but I also am going to probably ask you some of the same questions, just because I think they're interesting questions. But Shane and you guys know each other from back in the day. So how do you know Shadow, Shane?
So we have a mutual friend. His name is Calvin Miller. Shout out to Calvin. He's somebody who I think listens to the podcast pretty regularly and has given me a lot of good feedback. But basically, me and him used to work at Planet Fitness together and just run amok and talk shit to each other and hang out, and we both had a decent amount of tattoos at the time. And I was like, man, where you get your tattoos at? And he was like, oh, you got to meet this dude Shadow, he's awesome. And basically met Shadow and been a fan ever since. Even did like a little I don't know what you want to call it, little stint, a small stint.
I always like to make fun of Shane because whenever we have a guest on, he's like the biggest fan of them out of anybody. Like, he is literally their biggest fan.
See, my girlfriend likes to tell me I'm a passionate person, and I think I am. So when I find
just what you want to hear,
and like passion, it's kind of a weird thing to categorize it as. But like, I think when you, and I've said this a million times, you find like-minded people and people you enjoy being around, and people that have the same kind of things. Same kind of goals and stuff. You're not only fans of them, you're fans of learning things from them. And when I first met Shadow, he was kind of like doing things that I had never seen anybody do before, whether it be doing tattoos or doing music or just doing badass tattoos. And I was impressed by that. So I kind of went in and was like, oh, I'm from forever. And as long as he doesn't do anything fucked up, I'm his fan.
I think, to be honest, man, thank you for saying that. I think it takes a very confident person to be a fan of somebody else out loud. And I think a lot of people are so like not confident with who they are as people that it makes them feel like very awkward giving a compliment to another person, let alone a guy to another guy or people. So and you can tell a lot about somebody when they're not scared to be like that. I feel like a lot of guys now, it's like they call it dick riding, or like you're acting like you're just too excited to talk to somebody else. But I never got that energy from him at all. It was just passionate people are fun to be around, you know what I mean?
And honestly, what he just said, I've never heard of anything like that. But like, I guess if that
I'm not familiar with the dick riding you speak of.
But I guess if that, I mean, I'm just, you know what I mean? I just like to be people's fans.
Shane's just a hardcore dick rider.
Love the
dick. All right. Well, anyways, so back to Shadow. No,
embarrassing.
So I was just looking at your Instagram, and you just did an interview. How'd you get approached to do that interview? How did they find you and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, that cracked me up. I'm
glad you could have a laugh at my dismay.
I mean, no, that's what people call it, man. I knew it was yes.
He's like,
it's good.
He's like, Shane calls it being a fan of me. I call it dick riding.
No, I'm saying I think that's what a lot of people nowadays act kind of like. You can't give a compliment to another person because they act too fucking goofy about it.
Well, shit, I ain't that person.
Yeah. That's why I'm here. You feel me? It's people that aren't scared to be themselves, regardless of what somebody else might be thinking that I connect with.
I get it. Just on a short notice, do you know how to make this to where it will just show all of us, because it is literally jumping around like crazy, and I feel bad for the people that are watching, because it's like he'll be talking and then you'll move your arm and it'll go to you. So I don't want to. I feel like people are like, who the fuck is controlling this thing? So
his arm is talking.
He was like raised his hand and you were just in mid sentence and it was like blow. So to him, so
the camera's got a mind of its own, America.
Well. So while he's messing with that, for the people that don't know, obviously if you follow us at any extent, you know this is our first
camera.
We just got a video camera, and it's a huge deal.
Trying to figure this shit.
We're going
to
this. We're going to be on YouTube, along with all the other things that we're already on. We were already on YouTube, but it was just the picture of the logo. And from now on, we're going to be on YouTube. Have a video. So comment, tell us the shit you don't like. Even on YouTube, you can be a little more discreet now and actually talk some shit about us if you feel like it.
Oh yeah,
because I'm tired of you assholes just dick riding. And no, I'm just kidding.
What made you guys want to do a podcast in the first place?
For me, it's the fact that I am a very narcissistic person, and I wanted to be famous. So it's just it's a little deeper than that, because it's one of those things that I looked at the fact that I grew up not knowing. Sorry, I grew up not knowing my dad, which I've talked about on the podcast before. And my biggest thing that I've always thought about growing up was I want to be famous enough to where
my dad finds me.
He comes to me looking for something, and then I can be like, "Fuck you!
I hate you, Dad.
I've built this thing all my own. I don't want you to be a part of it." And it's just something that it grew from that, and then also, I was listening to podcasts. I got introduced to the Joe Rogan experience. I was like, man, this is cool. I want to do that. I can do that.
Of course. I love Joe Rogan.
And so as soon as I started doing that, thought, oh, I'm going to get this right now. Like, I'm going to get this podcast started. And then I found out that there was a lot that goes into it, like purchasing the equipment, purchasing the hosting and things like that. So it just made it like seem like it was an insurmountable hill that I wouldn't be able to climb. And then my mom got me my very first like setup and everything, and it kind of took away that excuse that I didn't have the money or the equipment to do it.
Yeah.
And so it just started from there. And then, from there, I've been learning everything on my own. Like it's kind of a crazy situation, because everything that I do now, I could be doing it completely the wrong way, but I learned it this way, and it's working, and it's growing, and having Shane a part of it has made it a lot better. I don't really know how to turn the auto thing off. Sorry. Like, you're going to have to control it if you want it to be.
It's just nuts. Like, it's literally going everywhere. And even when someone's talking, it's on shadow right now for no reason.
Oh, there's a reason.
So I think that if you just leave it, I don't know how to mess with it.
I try to do like where you just go like this, and then
it'll change.
But then a minute it goes like, oh, maybe I can hold here and it'll stay.
But you don't want to hold that the whole time.
I think since your intentions are positive for your podcast in general, I think that the universe will help you iron out anything that you're not doing right.
And I fully believe in like energy and like putting the positive energy out there. Like I was completely against all of that kind of stuff until I talked to the psychic that I had on the podcast, which I know a lot of people don't like believe in that kind of stuff. But
shit, I do. Who's your psychic?
Anybody? Her name is Sarah Hawking. She used to be in Indianapolis.
Sounds hot.
She lives out in Australia now.
What?
She is a awesome chick. She does like a bunch of stuff on Facebook. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll see it because I post it all the time. But she's interesting.
How'd you link with her?
I found her just by Googling stuff and trying to find people to talk to for the podcast. I thought it was something I really wanted to do, and talk to somebody in that area, because I didn't know anything about it.
So did you have her on here and you were asking her questions and she like knew the answers?
Yeah. Well, she called in. And she was like, my thing doesn't really, she was like, my ability doesn't really work to where I can predict the future.
Can't just turn it on type shit.
But she was like, but I can definitely like pick up energies and things like that. And that's where I said, like, I just started, when I first talked to her, was like, if I start thinking that I want something, I'm going to get it. If I just keep working at it and going after it, and you can get derailed on that momentum really easily. Like if you stop pursuing what you're doing, you're literally just shutting that momentum down, and you can't keep it going forward.
Totally.
And my thing is I'm immediately, and the thing that's helped the podcast is Shane, because he like re-energized myself, because I was just kind of doing the same thing over and over, thinking, this is going to eventually hit. This is going to eventually hit. Yeah. But with him, it's like actually pushed me to go out and get stuff and actually.
Well, I think like, so when I say like-minded people and you say energy, I think those two things are the same thing.
They are.
And when I think of like-minded people, I also think about another person's energy and having the same kind of energy, and both having the same kind of goals, pushing towards the same stuff. So that's what I see. And like I said, I'm glad that we can help each other out. And it's cool to have another goal with somebody else that has, we both want to do the same thing. And you asked him what his goal was earlier for the podcast, took the words right out of my mouth.
And speaking of goals, we actually sat down and talked to each other about our 2018 goals. And I just want to let you know, we've already checked off a couple of them. Purchase a camera. Done. It's right there, and we're on Facebook Live.
Hello.
Purchase a camera, reorganize the studio, and decorate the studio. Took the blankets down. It's not as lame as it used to be.
And Shadow already informed us that he's going to help us get some sick art behind us right here and make it look real cool, and maybe even make our dream of having two cartooned Shane and Juices.
Yes, I want that so bad.
I do too. Yeah.
Take more pictures with guests. We'll be doing that today. More writing, which we've already done too, because I've written down our ideas for.
I've kind of failed on that one
for this year.
You guys have like a vlog or a blog? I mean, like a blog.
This is the podcast has its own page, and it's thelibsyn.com/juice in the morning, and then I want to build community through Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. That's going to come into talking with Shadow here, because he has a lot of ideas on that.
And it's kind of weird that we made that goal and then not, a week later, talk about energy and things happening for momentum and shit. And then he comes in here and the first thing that comes out of his mouth is like, let me tell you, about how to do that.
For real, it's a law of attraction, man.
So with that, like I was going though with the interview that you had, how did you link up with those
I like
people?
how you brought that back. That was tight. Very nonchalant. So how did I link with those people? Well, musically, I had done a song with a rapper named Kasky, and Kasky's tour manager at the time was a guy named Face, and Face is kind of synonymous within that community. Like, he was the tour manager for a couple different major, semi-major musicians or whatever, like traveling tour manager.
Yeah.
And he has a local studio, and he's got I guess maybe like a similar, not a podcast channel per se, but like a YouTube channel where he interviews pretty much all the rappers that he messes with or whatever. Yeah. I always wanted to be one of those rappers. It's not cool to ask for a fucking interview. You know what I mean? But it organically happened, and he came in one day and he was getting tattooed by one of the artists at my shop. And he saw we had the toy drive and we had 1,000 toys over there.
That was so cool. That was
dude,
bad.
That picture where you pan out and show all the shit that you got for people is insane, dude. I couldn't even begin to think of where to like figure something out like
that. And that
changes
people's lives. You know?
I agree fully. The community did it, man. All I had to do was tell people. I feel like so many people in our community just kind of feel like anybody that's not 50 years old and rich are not trying to give back to people. And I feel like as soon as I figured out there was the problem, enough people were already watching me and like paying attention to me via social media. And as soon as I went out one time and I went downtown to the Hardee's on East Washington Street, I guess.
Yeah.
And I did the under the bridge thing with one of my clients, and she was out there trying to like feed the homeless. And I was like, oh my God, like I didn't know you could go feed the fucking homeless. Like, where do we do this at? So I went with her one time, and I saw there was like 50 homeless people lined up, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, if I would have known this, I would have just you can grab stuff from your garage. You can grab any fucking thing you want.
That's kind of what I was going to say is like, and like, I'm not saying like one person's trash is another person's treasure, literally in the sense that like that old coat you got hanging in your closet that you haven't touched in 3 years, give that to somebody who really just needs
that's
a
what
coat.
I told Facebook. That's what I told Facebook. That's what I told Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. And when I said that, within like a week, I'd hopped on there and there was a kid that had showed up with on the homeless day. There was like kids out there. I was like, there's fucking homeless kids in our town. Like, if my clients knew that, my clients, tattoos aren't cheap.
No.
And when my clients come through, I feel like I have some of the coolest fucking clients ever, and they've all got kids, they've all got families and shit. So I was like, man, if I told my clients that there were kids out here that needed help, I'm sure to God that some of these clients would have stuff in their garage that they would just give to these kids. And I feel like it's different if you're thinking about trying to like help the homeless problem, quote unquote. It seems like such an unsurmountable goal. But if you're thinking more of like, there's one 10-year-old kid in our town that is this height and this weight, do you have anything for him?
Yeah.
I'd have like 1,300 things. Yeah. So within like a week, I had 400 items at the shop by just making one post. And then within a month, within 2 months, I had 4,400 items. So I took all those and I went out and I tried to take them back to that same place. And the place, I'd realized the flaws in that place. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, maybe I'm going to go out and find specifically kids and women that like battered women and stuff like that. So in doing that, I met another lady and she took me to this other place, and that place didn't feel positive to me, and it didn't feel like I wasn't connecting with it. And it was a bunch of really negative stuff that I don't want to shed light on anything negative. Yeah. But I'll just say, if you guys went out there, you'd be like, oh my God, this does not even feel like we're helping the homeless. Mm-hmm. It didn't even feel like homeless people. It felt like people were just scavenging whatever. Yeah. So I took my clients that were, and as soon as I told my clients, I had like 10 clients that went with me, and I had literally probably 100 bags. I mean, we're talking full size 30-gallon garbage bags full of like, some of the shit was designer. There was like damn near brand new shoes all the way over to like used, just whatever. It didn't matter. You know, we're bringing it. We laid it all out. So when I was in my attempt to go find the right place, I'm tattooing one day, and one of my clients worked at the Children's Bureau. And I was like, what do they do at the Children's Bureau? She's like, well, that's where all the CPS families and all the, you know, like when your kids get taken away because you're on drugs, then those kids go to CPS. And then when a mom dies and there's nobody to take care of the kids, then they go to CPS. And I was like, well, how many are there? She said, there's like 8,000 a month. I was like, what?
Jesus
I was like, well, I got 4,400 things I can bring out there right now. So she tried linking me with them. It took me like 6 months to get the Children's Bureau to realize that I was a legitimate person. I was a viable resource of stuff. And then since then, I started teaching a class. I teach an art class at the Children's Bureau once a month.
Hell yeah.
It's fucking
That's awesome.
Dude, it's so awesome. And I'm going to start teaching a class at there's like another at-risk center for like kids that are like even more, that have been through a lot more, we'll say, that can't be in the same vicinity as kids that haven't been.
Yeah.
You know, more of like a physical
Understand.
endangerment or whatever. So I'm going to go start teaching there one day a month too. So the thing is, in doing that, then last year we did the toy drive, and when we did the toy drive, it was kind of aimless. It was kind of like, all right, they just have to be $20 toys, and you'll get 50% off your tattoo.
Yeah.
So we reached 400 toys in like 2 months. It was awesome. But then this year I was like, well, why don't I connect it and make it art supplies? So it would be like a $20 art supplies, a $20 toy that is art related.
Yeah.
So then that way when I teach my class to the kids, I'm teaching like 15 kids a month. I'll just give them these toys when I get done with my class, and I'm like actually giving it to the kid and teaching them how to use it, or just connecting on a person to person basis. And bro, it was amazing.
So just in the couple of years that you've done it, it's already evolved into like
it evolved weekly.
It's fucking awesome. Like I'm not gonna lie about that. Like that was not. I mean, obviously, when you do the podcast, you don't you don't really have expectations because you want to keep it open to whatever.
Of course,
that's freaking awesome. Like that's
the universe has guided me where
to do that. That's crazy.
I feel like the universe showed me where the need was. Or I guess where it was needed, where the energy was needed. And as soon as I told my clients, it wasn't like I'm trying to get like, I've never asked for $1 and I've turned down money. You know what I'm saying? Like people that would be like, well, do you need any money? I'm like, how about you just go buy the stuff you want to contribute to it? I don't ever want to get it misconstrued. This is not a money thing. This is not like when you think about non-for-profits, there's like this non-for-profit's a multi-million-dollar non-for-profit. Like what the hell?
One of the first ones is the Goodwill. Like, I mean, Goodwill makes so much money off of what they take in, and they do go as that non-profit.
Or you heard about all the stuff like in Texas when all the what do you call it? When all like the flood and all that shit was happening, and you heard that like all these people are donating all this money, and then the places they were donating it to, which I'm not going to name, but they were just not getting the stuff to the people. Like how fucking shady? Because if you read the fine print of the non-for-profit, there's a lot of like loopholes that allow the person that's running it to get rich.
Oh yeah, and to benefit from it. I mean that's where I mean I don't know if we really want to get into it with
Joel Osteen.
Yeah, and then also
that's what I'm talking about.
I don't know if we want to get into it with the like Trump and the shithole countries, but Haiti has been continuously fucked over by the Clinton administration. That's like, I mean, that's not the only reason why they're where they're at, but I mean, like the Clinton administration went into Haiti to help them and ended up like really. I mean, this is all hearsay. Like, is it hearsay? He said, she said. But anyways, it's basically people saying that they embezzled a lot of the money. That's how they got rich, is because they got all of the support sent in from the cash and everything, like you said, and then they exited the country with the cash.
You should keep your eyes up. Did you hear about Pizzagate? Did you hear about all that stuff? Oh, did you hear about Pizzagate?
No.
Ay Dios mío, brother. So the Pizzagate scandal was, what do you call it? What's her name? Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
They in her infiltrated emails. You know what I'm talking about? When all of her emails disappeared conveniently or whatever.
Yeah, when she deleted that shit.
This was on the Alex Jones podcast, so I don't know if you can
InfoWarriors?
Infowars.com.
Or InfoWars, that's right.
Yeah, I don't know how much you put behind, how much validity you'd put behind that, but to be honest, like the proof is in the. Yeah, there was enough proof.
There was like a bunch of stuff recently that kind of like proved him right. So there was a couple podcasts I listened to that were like, "Hey, you kind of like can't ignore him because
only a fool would have ignored
because some of the stuff he's saying is true." They're
he was
like,
the one that uncovered the fucking Bohemian Grove.
Yes,
I don't know if you guys know about that.
That's definitely something I want to get into for sure.
We should talk about that. Let's brought it up.
Finish the Pizzagate and then let's do the
Pizzagate. Yo, they found this thing where they infiltrated some of Hillary Clinton's emails, and they had found all these like senators and like statesmen, and if that's what you call them, congressmen, gentlemen.
Yeah.
And they found out that they were talking very weirdly about like pizza, like make sure you deliver that young pizza with the something cheese on it and the anchovies. Make sure the anchovies are blah blah blah, and talking real fucking suspiciously. And what they'd found was all these kidnapped kids that had been.
Oh Lord,
bro! The congressmen and all these people were receiving said. You see where I'm going with this? So then,
pizza,
bro, and those were the things that she hid, and that's why they were trying to say that she had hid all these emails and shit like that because she was privy to this knowledge. And then, of course, she denied it, and Alex Jones busted it wide open and showed all the fucking like all the proof of it or whatever. So what's crazy is that the Bohemian Grove is the secret. It's like the secret meetup place in California where all these same heads of state and congressmen and all of the presidents.
Percenters.
Type shit, yeah. And all like the richest people in the world meet up before any big decisions made, before 9/11, before any major catastrophe happens or whatever, they all meet up there. And what they said is all the local townspeople in that area, it's in the Redwood Forest in California. You can't get in there unless you've got military. The military guards it with fucking war weapons.
Yeah.
And they've got skulls outside. You can see the skulls. Like, it's like the Skull and Bones, like, secret lair or whatever.
Alex
They've got a 30-foot tall.
Straight snuck his ass in there.
So crazy.
That's
Dude,
one of his probably
videos.
claim to fame of
Videos, yeah.
And what I remember of the video is basically him, like he walks up and there's this giant owl.
A 30-foot owl that they pray to while listening to Alistair Jones. Or Alistair Crowley. Yeah, but so here's the trippy part is that, if it's not all trippy, the trippy part is the townspeople in the area in the Redwoods where the Bohemian Grove is at, is how tied the two things together, is that they say that at the Bohemian Grove, they'll watch all these, like, Asian kids being brought into this place, and they don't ever come back out of it. And so what they've deducted is not sacrifice. They're giving these children to the crooked congressmen that are...
Ugh.
You feel me?
Which is why I've always kind of thought that too, and even I think True Detective even kind of.
I love that.
Not necessarily in the sense of like that high 1%, but there was like people that were higher ups and
just insinuate
in the state of whatever that were basically there was like a child molestation ring.
Let me see that and see if I can fix it.
And that's what they're saying. The child molestation ring is directly connected to all these people in Congress, and that's so shady. And these are the people making decisions on our behalf.
And I'm curious as to why, and you may know this, is why is like why do all these like 1%ers and all these people that are in government, like what's the correlation between that and child molestation? Like why is that such
probably their lack of control,
the prevalent thing? Or do you think they just get to the point where they're so powerful that like, oh, I've done this and this, and now I'm going to move on to even
from a psychological standpoint? I feel like but on the same note, if you can't be a congressman and be creepy with a grown up woman of your own stature, because then she can tell on you and she's got enough on you. You got to think these creepy guys they've got to hide the evidence, and how you're gonna. This is just like deductive reasoning, but if you think about it, I don't know, man. If you think about it, the mind of a crooked person like that doesn't make any sense. But from an outside perspective, I mean, a kid wouldn't be a kid that you're gonna end up killing when it's over. You can't tell all your horrible secrets, and that's kind of what Alex Jones was inferring was just that, like. And it was foreign kids that didn't speak English in the first place. Yeah, it's so shady. Dude.
And then I could also see them like, I've done.
So what do you think is actually like going on with those things? Like, I mean, what's the reason for what they're doing? Like, I mean,
from what standpoint?
From the Bohemian Grove, like what are they actually doing in that area? Like, what is
a ritual is a ritual for a reason.
Yeah,
like doing these ritualistic things is how they reconnect with their. Well, they act like Alex Jones acts like it's a almost like a satanic devil worshipping ring,
which is so crazy. There's a book I read it's completely fictional, but it's a book basically where a guy, if you get yourself really close to death, but you like keep doing it over and over, and then you find this like space, and they call it liminal space, to where you can literally separate yourself from time and space.
This isn't Flatliners, is it?
No, it's called it's called Rant. It's a novel by Chuck Palahniuk.
I love my god! So Fight Club and Fight Club. What Choke?
Yep.
Yeah, I've read both those.
I got a signed copy of Fight Club.
And he wrote Rant, which is the whole book. I'm not going to ruin it, but basically, they get to this liminal space, and then all of the leaders and all of the like super wealthy people in the world are these people that have like figured out how to get through that space. And then also, if you kill the person that created you, so like your dad, like if you kill him before you're born, you become
more powerful.
Like you become immortal. Like you have no limits on space and time, so you can move through time. And I know this is way crazy. Out there, but this
sounds like a badass book. Honestly,
I know it sounds way out there, but I think that it's when you read it and then you go, like, the craziest and the coolest part about it is Chuck did his research, because there is like physics that I've looked up online that like talk about this space and like how theoretically it could happen. Obviously, it's
You're over here plotting.
Not real.
Go back in time and find my
that's what I'm saying.
Kill him so I can become immortal.
Yeah, and
you did say earlier that
you won't find my podcast now, Dad.
But no, and then that's what
never found it.
Oh shit! They think of these people as the people that do the. They decide the direction of how people are going to go, and
like the time.
and like that's what. they think of like as the high end people, and that's why this like whole Bohemian Grove thing makes me immediately think of that book, because it makes me think of people that have gotten to a weird status that they do have control over the free world of, essentially.
In the 60s when the Bohemian Grove first got like broadcasted about, if you watch like the documentaries on YouTube about when they first uncovered the Bohemian Grove, before Alex Jones did it, as in like the 90s, there was like when they first found it, it was at who was I guess one of the presidents in the time, maybe, God bless it, I'm so
Was
bad
it
with
Bush or one of the
it was
Bushes?
before that.
Before that.
No, maybe like 1 or 2 or 3 before that.
Okay.
I don't know, one of the, God bless it, I have no clue which president it was, but they
Carter.
they showed one of the ones. It wasn't Nixon, but it was like around that time frame. They showed him like not infiltrating, but like talking about the Bohemian Grove, and like somebody had gone in there and said that there was something to do with like, oh no, they invited one of the presidents, because all the presidents have been there and they've co-signed it, which is why they think it's this like high society. Well, I mean, obviously it's all these heads of state, but once the president's there, it's a different animal, you know?
Yeah.
So when they found out, so then they invited one president, and he wasn't comfortable with the homosexual activities that he had seen in front of him, and he went back and somebody had interviewed him, and then they the person interviewing him brought up, so how do you feel about since you hate homosexual activity, how do you feel about Bohemian Grove? And he went off on a tangent and was like, I'm not down with this, I'm not down with this, and he uncovered it. Well, then that obviously stayed out there, and then there was like all this counter like press or media that was trying to like downplay what he said, and then that's probably what struck Alex Jones to start looking into it, you know, so many years later. And then Alex Jones infiltrated it. He tried doing an interview the right way, and they kept blowing him off. He went out there, they wouldn't let him in, so he went back out there with his camera crew in the middle of the night, and they snuck up, and he was able to see the sacrifice. What they do is they do a ritualistic sacrifice. They bring all these heads of state and all these like, so like if you own Google, and let's just say Google, because Google, this probably happened to Google 13 years ago instead of right now.
We've talked about companies that there's like 3 or 4, 5 of them that own everything. So those people that own those things.
But it would be prior. Let's say to own everything.
Yeah.
You would go to this thing and you would say, all right. It's almost like when they say you don't go to Harvard for the degree. You go to Harvard so you could be in the room next to the guy that will run the world later on.
Yeah. So basically, you're becoming a power. You're
already powerful financially, but now we're going to give you the power to make the decisions on a global scale.
You're starting to become noticed as a power, obviously financially,
of
course. And you're coming up in the game, and they're like, okay, this is what you do.
Or if we need to make the big decisions in the world, who do we need? The people that make the most money, that are also in control of. All right, you employ 20,000 people, and you make $20 billion a year.
Yeah.
Why don't you come out here and see how we pray to our higher power?
Right.
And then you go there, and then the thing is, though, just like if you ever watch the Skull and Bones movie, they show like, did you guys ever watch that?
With dude from Fast and Furious?
No, but no, Skull and Bones didn't have that guy.
Was it
the guy that played was he it? Wasn't he? Yeah.
The jock guy with the blonde hair. I can't think
of his name. The guy that died.
Yeah,
he was very nonchalant.
Paul Walker.
You'll realize I'm right.
Paul Walker.
Yeah, Paul Walker.
But then the other dude is a very less known actor that you've seen in a few things. That's in a lot of like
Dawson's
childhood.
Creek.
Yeah.
You didn't want to say it.
Well, I just don't know
childhood
the guy's name.
favorites. You're about to say, I saw that.
But I just knew Paul Walker was in it, but I couldn't think of his name. But I do know that guy, but I just don't know anything he's in. But Skull and Crossbones, I get it. At one point, they're about to duel. They do the duel and all that stuff.
The part I was going to mention was so what they did was they made them all obviously like sign up and do their thing, and then what happened was they like made each one pretty much witness. So what they say when they get into like the 33rd level of masonry, or like even on the mason level, which I'm sure you guys are probably Masons or something. You never know. But
no, I'm definitely not.
What they say is they make you like either do or witness some really like creepy gay stuff or some like murder stuff.
Incriminate you.
But they do it on camera, but you don't realize you're on camera. And then if you ever try to go against them, they pull it out just like evidence. Like they pre-get evidence on you. And so, but then they make you do some crazy stuff too. So like, that'll be like some weird dark cloak type shit. So this is what effectively everybody that goes to this Skull and Bones joint, or whatever you call it, Bohemian Grove, which is effectively what the Skull and Bones movie was kind of about, was just this higher power 33rd Mason. All these guys are Masons also. All the people at Bohemian Grove. But that's the thing, you already got to be. It's all hand in hand.
So does this have a tie into the Illuminati?
this is who we're calling the Illuminati.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is which I'm glad we didn't start like that because that would have made it sound stupid.
Sure,
and
I was
cheesy.
going to say if some people might see it as not the same thing, and then
the Illuminati just means the illuminated ones, aka the ones that are glowing because they've got the power. You feel me?
And I was just I was curious to see if that was your take
don't
on
get
it.
me started. But point blank. So what they do is when Alex Jones uncovered it, what he shows is they all have to wear these cloaks. And Aleister Crowley was the person that made like the Satanic Cookbook and the Satanic Bible and all that shit back in the day. And he had these weird like incantations he would do on recording and shit like that. It sounds real creepy. I mean, obviously it sounds creepy as hell. So they're playing this. So Alex Jones, you can only imagine he's like drooling, like, oh my God, this is, like my big break. Yeah. And he's like out there and he's got his camera crew and they're like laying on the ground in the freaking forest and they're recording and it's a 30-foot tall, is it Horus? Mm-hmm. Or you know what I'm talking about? I think Greek god Horus, or it's the owl god.
Yeah,
and they're praying to the owl god.
You're right about that.
There's a fire, and then there's like a lake, and they're praying to the owl god, and then they come up to him like almost like a pyramid kind of thing on the sides, and they walk up on this like plank, and they've got a freaking like a coffin, and they're supposedly sacrificing a body. What they've said later on is that the body was either already dead or it was like a mock-up but my God, what's the fucking difference? If
either way,
if you're listening to this evil, but these are the people that are running these are the judges.
Yeah.
Could you imagine someone like in that position and being on live television like it was a dead body? We were only sacrificing a dead body
while listening to the guy that made the Satanic Cookbook, while praying to a 30-foot owl. Yeah. You feel me? And they're all probably pretending to be not of Christianity, or they're probably all pretending to be something that is very mainstream, so they don't have to ever look like they're part of the shit. But
and how long do you think this kind of stuff dates back to?
As long as we say the Illuminati dates back to. This is just like maybe the physical representation of it in America right now.
I mean, the being part of a special secret society has existed since time.
Yeah.
Or since we've been able to record history. I mean, there's no reason, or the reason for, from the history classes that I've taken, the reason religion exists is to govern us as people so that we don't just kill each other
moralistic
and destroy our entire surroundings, because humans are considered the most vicious thing to ever live.
Right, because we kill everything. There's a good percentage of people, if you didn't give them some kind of moral ground like that, then they would just be doing whatever they want.
Yeah, so then
and we still do.
So then,
but you got to think how many people that
don't because of morals.
Yes, or religion.
So then let's think about think about fraternities and the Illuminati and the Masons. That's just more powerful people getting together so that they have more power and they can extend their life and make sure that everybody around them they want to extend their life.
So even in the smallest thing is like
a bloodline,
a college fraternity. Like, no offense to anybody that was in a college fraternity, but
I was briefly.
That shit can get kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Like they're like real ride or die. And those are the days they had the most fun. So even 20 years later, when they're all excited about being a fraternity, it's like still like that's
what's up?
Yeah, I don't know, throwing up little Sigma Kappa, whatever.
Gang signs.
Yeah, pretty much
the elitist gang signs.
They are exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
But if you think about it, there's no difference between that gang and maybe the police being a gang, and maybe not the police, but I'm saying it's all just gangs of different affiliations.
This is a completely different, we've jumped to a completely different subject, but it's awesome, and it is the tribalization of us as humans.
But I want to talk about something cool that I just thought about is so I can't remember, I think it was Biggie, but so police killed, or is it police that killed Biggie? It's Biggie
and Tupac, yeah.
I don't know.
At least Biggie, yeah.
Yeah, so there was an elite task force in Los Angeles. I don't know the name of it, but they actually were the ones that were so deep undercover that they were actually their own gang, and they were into
you misunderstood that, but okay.
Go ahead, yeah.
Well, the Rampart scandal was when scandal was when they caught all the dirty cops that were actually robbing the drug. Did you ever watch Training Day?
Yeah.
That was about the Rampart scandal.
Okay.
So Training Day, and Denzel was effectively one of the ones that was the high up or whatever. Yeah, the Rampart scandal was what they busted it, and it was the same time. It was those same people were involved in the Tupac and Biggie thing. The reason why they couldn't break open the Tupac and Biggie shit and make it part of it was because the same reason why Biggie's mom sued the Los Angeles Police Department for $40 million. She ended up winning for $1 million because she proved that. So all these videos that you see of Tupac and Biggie getting killed, or not getting killed, but the day of and all this shit. There's all these behind the scenes videos and shit like that of it, and you're where the fuck did this come from? It came from the cops that were already watching them. So there was these hip hop cops, aka these crooked cops, were following both of these guys around the whole fucking time. And long story short, how the hell were you a cop already at the scene, and yet you let this person that you've been following for a year now get murdered right in front of you.
So that's different than what I was saying. I was saying that they actually, the Rampart people, or the people that carry out the murder of Biggie. That's not
the
true.
Rampart scandal was the Rampart situation was that 62 out of the 90 Los Angeles or like the Compton police were not only so crooked that they were murdering everybody and stealing all this stuff. You were making it sound like they were elite. They weren't elite. These were like the degenerates. You feel me? Elite
the police officers or the
yes.
Okay.
The police. Yes. It was the Rampart.
Only thing I'm trying to point out is that the people that killed Biggie were part of this group that was the Rampart people. Right?
They were the crooked cops. Yeah. At least that's what. Yeah. My bad.
No, you're
good. So. Yeah, but when you say elite, it almost makes it sound like they're a task force instead of being like the crooked cops within the other cops. You feel me?
Yeah.
And then when the one of the cops, oh God, I know his name.
Yeah, I'm not by any means like running the city or anything like that, but definitely doing like in terms of Rampart. Like,
well, when I think of elite cop, I think of somebody that's like one of like the behind the scenes because he's able to be trusted with bigger shit. The Rampart scandal was when they found out that the cops were actually doing all the dirty stuff from like Training Day. Yeah. Like they'd find a drug dealer, realize he had all this money, and they'd kill him, steal all of his shit, and then do a big bust and only bust like 10% of the stuff and keep the other 90% of it.
Honestly, the only thing I know about the Rampart, and you told me that it was Rampart. And I was trying to get that out of somebody because I didn't know. But basically, is that they were started off as a group and they basically took money and drugs and got to a point where they were being extremely illegal, and those same people were the ones that had to do with the killing.
They don't necessarily. They didn't make it sound like they were doing it together necessarily. It was just that there was just so many crooked people in that organization.
Within that organization, there was
so many dirty cops.
A couple crooked cops or one crooked cop that led to the death of Biggie Smalls.
What they say is that it was Amoju Ajabi, which was one of the cops that killed, which is the cop that they say killed Biggie or whatever. And then they say he was working with Puff. So then when they did this whole thing, there was this movie called The Murder Rap that just came out like maybe a year ago, right after Biggie's mom won the case and got $1 million from the Los Angeles Police Department. There's a, what do you call it? This murder rap thing came out. What they did was the Los Angeles Police Department hired one of their cops to make almost like a fake reinterpretation of the story where they busted and they tricked one of the guys that was supposedly with the guy that killed Tupac that night. They tricked the other guy that was in the car with him into saying not only was he in the car, but he killed him. And then the guy that they're blaming it all on died. So then this guy got immunity for saying that he was part of it. And just so they could name somebody that was part of it, because up to this point, there's been nobody that has been caught. Well, because the cops were the ones that were part of it. And the cops, maybe it wasn't the cop that pulled the trigger. Maybe the cop watched him pull the trigger because this was the guy he was doing dirty dealings with or whatever. It's so intriguing, bro. When you
that's what I was gonna say. So clearly, I don't like you. Like what you
just
knew
said, enough to bring it out. Yeah,
but I like what I just found this out the other day from a different podcast. In my brain, as of a month ago, I always thought that they never found out who killed either of them. So when I was
anybody that knows, but anybody that doesn't,
and that's awesome to me. And I just kind of got the gist of that only like a month ago. And you even just saying the stuff that you said, it was like, it's cool to know a lot more information about it. So
yeah, it's fucking lit, man. It's crazy to know that like the
and
cops got away with
it. It more and see like the specifics of it.
They're still releasing false stuff where they show. You know what's crazy? There's this new technology that's coming out right now which I learned from a podcast. Thank you, podcast community. This elite. They're elite. You got me saying elite. There's this new technology they've got coming out that is equivalent to like a blood test. Okay, you know how they can go back through cold cases and they can open up a cold case and do like DNA from like a time they couldn't do DNA,
so
right?
They would say there was like a rape or something, and then years later,
say like in 1800, and
they
blah
took
blah blah.
the DNA and then they kept it, and then years later they were able to solve that case because they had.
Let's say they scraped under the lady who got raped's fingernails, and there was something there, but in the 1800s they couldn't do shit about it. But now they opened it back up. Yeah, they'd keep a culture or whatever. But let's say now they'd open it back up and they could run it through their DNA kit, find out who the person was. But since all those people are dead now, there's no reason to do it. Well, now they've got this thing where they can do that with bullets, and they say that each bullet leaves a specific imprint on the bullet from the gun, and each gun
trace it back to the gun barrel.
So what they said was all the people that they claimed killed Biggie and Tupac were already charged with all these other like murder. They were already murder suspects from other situations. so they'd infiltrated all their guns, all their shit.
But
like
can you
that,
only
right?
trace it back to a gun, though, right? And then the gun owner, and not necessarily the person that pulled the trigger, is that.
This
gun
is the
owner.
thing, and this is where the guy that was doing it didn't have enough knowledge of the street, which you obviously did just in conversation just now. Was he said, and this is why some of these guys are going to have to start using throwaways. Well, throwaway is a gun that you use one time and then get rid of it, and you got it on the street, and it was already dirty, already had bodies on it, so you get a fucking dirty gun, kill somebody with it, and get rid of it, and put it back on the same street you got it from. But some of these guys, but if you killed multiple people with that same gun, and then they said, all right, we found this gun casing, we found this dirty gun on this guy already, and this bullet killed this guy, and then you're trying to say that same gun is the one that killed this guy, but this gun was already in police impound at that same time, then you could trace it back to being like, all right, all they want to do is prove that it's not who they said it was.
Right.
Because the police pinned it on Orlando Anderson that killed Tupac, but and then conveniently he ended up dying 2 years later. Well, they had an analyst go back over to his interview where he says, I'm the one who killed Tupac, or I didn't kill Tupac, and da-da-da-da-da, and they show him, and like he's looking up, and you can see he's getting guided on what to say, and they show him like looking over here while he's doing it, and then they're like, da-da-da, what did you blah, blah, and they, like, you ever see that Lie to Me show? Mm-mm. They break down a liar into like small, so like if you ask me a lie right now, I would like blink maybe like weird, and then I'd like
look to the side.
They have like
those are like the easy. Those are the
I look to the side all the time
because
they say part of your
like
your cerebral cortex, part of your like if you're lying,
trying
you'll
to
look
recall.
up here where you recall over here and you make up over here. So if you look over here, you might do that often, but you also do that if you're lying about something. What they said is, but they show it and they pause it, and then the lady's interpreting it, and she was like, "Look, you see this little." So when they ask him, are you sure you didn't kill him? And he kind of like partially smiles, and then he denies it. Like, okay, so imagine if somebody asked you if you killed the person everybody in the world thinks you killed, are you going to smile?
Yeah.
Fuck no, you wouldn't. But it's a subconscious thing. He doesn't even realize he's doing it, and you don't catch it as an onlooker because it's a millisecond. But if you pause it and an analyst is looking at it, it's right fucking there.
Yeah. I love this shit, dude.
So intrigued talking about it.
So I don't know if you guys have ever watched the ID channel. It's just like basically like cold cases and shit. Like they have a whole show based on cold cases and just murder shit, like all that. It's all just that basically. And they had this one on the other day, and I could not believe it. And it was called the Golden Gate Killer.
Okay. Yeah.
And this was a person in California who he raped over 50 people. He would go into their this is back in like the 70s, I think. He would go into their house, tie him up, take the guy or the children in the other room, rape the girl.
Oh my god! And
he did it 50 times. And then he started getting to where he became the killer. He used to just be the Southside killer or something like that. Or no, Southside rapist, sorry. Okay. And then he started graduating to killing people. He just randomly killed 2 people on the side of a sidewalk one day. And then from then, he would go into the houses and he would start killing people. So, and then I think he killed altogether like 12 people. And and the thing that bothers me is they never found this dude. He's old as shit now. And they never...
That's the only part that bothers you.
I mean, obviously the other stuff. Those are kind of givens. I feel, But so he kills these people. But like, I looked it up because I don't like to wait. So I looked it up as the show was on. I was like, oh shit, they don't find this guy.
Yeah. He's my neighbor.
And it's just crazy to me after all these like rapes and all the DNA and all that stuff that goes into that. He ends up killing 12 people, and you could see where he may have had some kind of job and he was working his way so he had a whole bunch in one area, and then he had to like commute somewhere, and he had them all along this highway road.
Jesus.
Okay. And it was just crazy how
you're saying the dead bodies were.
No, he committed rapes and murders along this highway.
Yeah.
Because he was just commuting somewhere and like, oh, I'm here tonight. I'll just go off.
Real quick.
Okay. Have you seen the most recent season of what do you call it?
If it's not on Netflix or Hulu, probably not. Because I don't have cable. I just watch straight Netflix. Like I'm rewatching it in honor of the 10th anniversary of Breaking Bad. I've been rewatching Breaking Bad.
Show.
So good.
Okay, so the new season of American
Science,
Horror Story.
bitch.
I love that show. Have you seen American Horror Story?
I've watched like 4 episodes of the whole series.
The most recent season is called Cult, and it's all about how
I did hear that. Yeah.
What's his name? What's our president's name?
Oh, Donald Trump?
Our bitch ass president. Yeah, our president, they show how they pretty much like reenact, like it's almost like a characterization of him, but as like the young dude that's on the show. Damn. And they show him like, and he's got like, and he died, his hair's blue and he's like crazy and he has his parents like dead up in the upstairs. Long story short, but he's able to incite people so what he does at one point, is just to give you like a breakdown. So he knows he wants to run.
No spoilers alert.
No, nothing crazy.
Okay.
No, this is like like just in the preface of the show or whatever. Yeah. So in like the first episode, he's trying to run for town senate before eventually running for the president or whatever, presidency. And he so he has his sister who's in on it with him. Her and her dude or whatever, they have their camera phone, and they go over, like, let's say 30 feet down the street, and he goes out in front of the hardware store, and there's like maybe 15 Mexican guys, and he yells to him, and he pees in a condom, and he fills the condom up, and he's like, "Hey!" And then he yells out some racial slurs to them, and then as soon as they look up, and he's like, "Yeah, you blah blah blah," he throws the condom and gets the piss all over him. So they go down and they beat the fuck out of him, and she starts recording when they're beating him up. So then he gets beat to the ground by all these Mexicans, and then the next day they go and they interview him, and they're like, "Sir, like, what happened?" He's like, "I'm a God-fearing American, and all I want to say is they need to be deported," and and then he runs for Senate, and he wins because he had sparked a racial riot.
Yeah.
And the whole time they're playing it off of, like, our president, like, this is kind of some of the little.
So you can for sure tell that it's
yes.
And do you think that
but I was
could you imagine watching that shit I'm sure he doesn't just sit down and watch, but imagine like
finding
this shit
out
is about
that they're
me, and like
the same way all these other shows are about other shit too. So but the reason I brought that up was because like on American Horror Story, they'll have like 10 different stories going on at once, and then there'll be multifaceted things that are going on within like 10 or 15 people, but then they'll tie them all together by the end of the show. And
kind of like Magnolia or whatever that movie was.
I never watched that, but they'll make it like you're watching, like, I never watched that, but they'll make it to where you're watching one movie, but it's been broken down. Each chapter is a different person, and then at the end of it, they're all one,
Yeah.
So then, long story short, they show these like women, and there's like maybe 15 women, and they're like very feminist and very like, and they're like murderers, right? But they build up to becoming murderers, and they end up being the Zodiac killer.
Oh my God.
But what they did is they show is the Zodiac killer was put on a man because at that time no woman would ever be a murderer,
like that,
and well, they would, but that was the problem. This is why they were feminists trying to fight they were doing it, and they were off killing all these men that were like perpetuating all. So they caught a guy trying to rape a girl, trying to push a girl past her limit, and they murdered him, like ritual sacrificed him and shit like that. and they were like. But then the next day in the paper, it was Zodiac Killer Strikes Again, and it was a man that they kept insinuating it was. So they kept trying to leave hints that it wasn't a man, and then they found out that there was a man who was claiming it to be him, and they went and murdered him. But what I'm saying is, so maybe all this stuff that you're talking about, like this one guy did all these killings, maybe it wasn't a guy, or maybe it wasn't a. It's crazy how like.
Well, the thing is, there's survivors from it that the guy went in there and like told, like was in there. You're like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, and like told him.
Gotcha.
So and they're like
so there's one was a
like
guy.
there's an interview and the lady's like, and then he came in and raped me, and I was like, Jesus, like that's some. And she's like older now, like she's like in her 60s, and this happened back in the day.
Bill Cosby.
Yes.
Well, they're getting ready to come out with that new film that is the Strangers 2 or something like that. And my wife, do you think it's stupid? Yeah. My wife is terrified by that.
Because
what's that? Because it's the whole idea of a person comes to your house and does creepy shit to you. Like it dates it back to like the whole like the old style of horror movies where they like. A guy like the whole Scream thing, like, what's your favorite scary movie? Like
this film, The Strangers, they literally break into a house and like torture a family and like kill each member of the family. And at the like one of the best lines that my wife says like freaks her out the most is one of the main characters like asks, why are you doing this, or why did you do this? And the answer is because you were home. And that was like, that's the only reason. Yeah. Like, and that freaks her out because she's like, that's something that could easily just like happen to me. Like somebody.
Well, I think that's why it's so scary is because it has to do with like the only thing you have to think about to occupy the idea of this movie is just being at home.
There was a home
That's
invasion
why it's scary.
There was a home invasion off of 71st Street not that long ago, and it was like an older lady. My ex used to wait on the lady at the pharmacy, I guess, and it was like an older lady, like in maybe her 60s or 70s or whatever, and they home invaded her and raped her and robbed her and stole all of her stuff and left.
Dude, and
like you could, if you're really just gonna rob somebody, you could easily rob them, but you're just really gonna go in and like you just ruin this person's like entire life.
Yeah,
that and like on a little bit of a lighter, more joking. I know that's not something to joke
all
about.
times. This is no time to joke.
I know, but I'm just saying, like,
how about them Colts?
It's weird that like young, like whoever's breaking into these houses are like raping old women. Like, you know what I mean? That's a really weird.
Like, I don't understand. Yeah, were you there for the money, or were you there for like the creepy shit, or like
that's what I'm saying? Like,
what made you do both?
Yeah,
I don't understand the two things.
I've
together.
always thought like because you always hear these things on TV, like 80-year-old woman gets raped. I'm like, who's doing that?
By an 80-year-old guy?
Like who was? And then you ever think to yourself, like you're at a gas station and you don't know anybody's like what's going on inside their head or who they are behind a closed door. So you could be like, how many? Have you ever thought like, man, how many times a day have I passed someone that's
I've never thought of that.
Fucked up shit, like, or someone that's
maybe you're thinking it.
No, not I.
No, I agree with what you're saying though. Is like thinking that people are evil. Like you're walking by, but it's what I've talked about before. That's where scary. I feel like everybody has some darkness inside.
That's the premise I've always based.
Because I think everybody does. I don't think it matters who you are.
Like I've been questioned before, like why won't you let so and so watch your daughter? And I don't mean family members or anything like that, but I've always had
nice
like
disclaimer. Not you, Grandma.
No, but and I just tell them because you don't know who anybody is behind a closed door. I've seen people that are act completely normal to your face, and then find out later that they go do weird shit, and like that's exactly why I won't let. And
butt toucher.
My daughter's been alive for 3 years, and she's been watched by 5 people ever. So
at least then you can narrow it down if there ever is an issue.
And then whoever that, I mean, not just like I'm no badass by any means, but if that shit ever goes down, I'm gonna become the Indiana
ritualistic murderer.
Yeah,
I'm done messing with the Facebook thing. I'm just turning it off. So
good idea.
Thank you for being on Facebook Live, but I'm tired of messing with the camera. We'll figure it out and get better at it later.
It's not worth it, America.
Yeah, we're join the audio podcast. All right.
Thanks for tuning in.
It was really hard to like navigate that because it kept just zooming.
Well, I'm pretty sure that I can mess with it to where it won't zoom in on stuff. But since I had already
just record the whole time,
that's what I'm going to do next.
Yeah. Like from this point,
and turn off the.
What I was trying to tell you was just looking. I know we're still on, but you were just looking down. I was about to say, like, if the camera's on, you should still be looking on.
Well, I wasn't talking, but I had to also look down at the. Are you either going to be here looking down or here looking down? Because I had to control the thing, and it wasn't.
You need another person.
Yeah,
we do.
Good luck getting somebody for free to just sit there and navigate.
Me? I'll find you somebody tomorrow.
Sweet.
For sure.
I got a guy.
Yeah, the juice is loose.
So let's pull back just a little bit.
Yeah, we got brooded.
Yeah, it's hard not to get into we do 1,000 things. We
get into it. But let's get back to a couple of friends of mine's questions that have like posted them and sent them to me through text message. So when it comes to tattooing, I know that there are trends.
Okay.
So what do you feel like the younger demographic trend is right now with tattoos? Because, for example, what I've seen online a lot is people getting a lot of tattoos that they see from the internet, from Instagram, but they don't put a lot of thought into it. That's just kind of the cool thing of the day. How do you feel about that as opposed to somebody that puts a lot of time into it and that kind of thing?
I think the days of... This is a good question. I think the days of picking a tattoo because something like crazy happened in your life.
Yeah.
I'll get phone calls all day long, or I'll be at like a store and somebody be like, how much do a sleeve be? I swear to God, how much do a sleeve be? I'm like, a sleeve be a bunch of separate fucking, that's like going into a store and saying, how much is a wardrobe?
Yeah.
Or going up to like a fucking a house, what do you call it? Person that sells a house?
Realtor.
A realtor, and saying, how much do a house be? Like, what house are you talking about?
Right.
Like,
is it a small house? Is it a big house?
Yeah, like
how many rooms?
Where's it at?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, exactly. Are you even going to be approved for this shit? So that's the thing. Like, if you start looking at, so like a lot of these like rappers, well, that's the thing. Right now, hip hop is running the popular consensus of the youth. You feel me? Or like it's where the visuals are created for the youth right now. Mm-hmm. So the rappers that are young right now, or even the rappers that are old, Lil Wayne was a multi-millionaire and had dog shit tattoos that were like line drawing on top of line drawing on top of like your it was all words and names, and then like it'd be like a symbol, and then it'd just be on top of them. Like you're like, how are you getting another tattoo in the same area? You've already got 5 tattoos. So that's the thing, because they want to look tattooed now instead of be wearing tattoos as badges of honor.
Yeah, like my wife and I we play this game. We call it the YouTube game. It's not really a game. You can't win, can't lose. It's basically we just alternate picking YouTube songs like of whatever you want to listen to. Like that's literally, I like to do it in a group of people because it's awesome, because you'll have like maybe 4 or 5 people pick a song. The next person in line literally has to think of like what's the song you want to hear the most right now, and then they play it, and then it kind of like gets like it evolves, because somebody will play hip hop, and then somebody else will think of a hip hop song that they like.
You're saying a song on YouTube or what do you mean YouTube songs?
Like just literally typing in the title of a song into YouTube. So you'll either get a video or you'll get just like the picture and the lyrics or whatever. Of course. So basically, you go through and you just play them, and it's such a fun thing to get to know people too. Because, like I said, I play I don't know, Ricky Martin, Cup of Life. Like, I know that's a really ridiculous song.
How do you even have that in your... Why was that the first thing you thought of?
Because of the guys that I talked to from the Smugcast. Gotcha. They make fun of me for that song. Nice. But anyways, long story short, so you pick a song, but I picked a Lil Wayne song from when he was with Juvenile. Yeah. And the video came up. Lil Wayne is not tatted at all. Like, he's completely
strange sight.
It's so weird to like see him completely different than what he looks like now.
Shadow, what do you think about people like Instagram stars like is it Boone Gang and then Extension and like the
Boone Gang?
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I sound as white as possible when I say these things.
You're white?
That is dope.
Yeah, I'm getting good at that. He says I could pull off dope. So
dope. Yeah,
I just say it real like that's dope.
It's on its way out too.
Yeah, well,
I'm glad you.
Not if I have anything.
Yeah, not if I've got anything to say about it.
2018. I'm gonna have to learn a whole new slew of
the fact
slang.
that you said that's on its way out. I don't know what's in or out or anyway. So I'm just kind of winging the whole thing. But anyways, how do you feel about those kind of people and what they're doing to social media, and if is it a good or negative or positive or?
I think the irony that tattoos are connected to that, to like the stupid shit that is the social media trending shit. It's crazy that now, like, okay, all the basketball players are sleeved. I feel like the idea, okay, if I can be like the old school tattoo guy, which I've never been in my fucking life, it's ironic that like there's even like a back then versus a now kind of thing. Is it back then? I remember when I first got my job at the shop that I own now, and the guy that had worked there, who was a relatively prominent tattoo artist right now, he had a bunch of crappy tattoos from when he was a kid. They weren't crappy in theory, but they didn't look like they'd been done recent. And they were like blurry and they were like real bold. And to everybody else, he looked like a fully tatted son of a bitch and everybody loved him. But compared to the stuff that I had at the time, I had nice, more clean, more in-focus tattoos. And he was like, you young motherfuckers got all these badass tattoos. You didn't have to fight for them. You didn't have to work for them. I'm like, you're fucking crazy. I had to fight for every one of these. Had to work for them. I was like, I paid probably more than you did. And da-da-da. He was like, well, back then, I had to go through twice as much pain and sit for... Well, it's ironic now that it's been, 8 years later, and my tattoos now, I've gotten a lot of those tattoos removed and got way better tattoos that were way more expensive and twice as painful. But the irony is, I fought to get each one of these layers and sessions. Every one of my tattoos has got 5 sessions per chunk. I've got 30 hours in one arm, and it was $250 an hour.
Damn.
Yeah. So, but these guys are calling on the phone like, how much is a sleeve? Like, they don't give a fuck what they're getting. They care that they can get it in a day because then they can look awesome on Instagram or awesome on, because to them it's the visual that they look like and not what the fuck it is.
I do feel like a lot of people will probably call up and they're like you're saying is their goal is like, how much of my body can I cover up without paying the least paying the least amount of money.
And that makes me also want to ask, what is the most cliche tattoos right now? For women and men.
Even throw out,
I don't think it's like that.
If there is a cliche.
I don't think it's like that. I think the cliche is they found a tattoo that there's 20 million people with the same concept. It's not the tattoo, it's the concept.
Okay.
Like, I've tattooed a lot of feathers. A feather might mean something different to every single person, but if you go to Pinterest and type in feather tattoo, there's literally thousands and thousands. So they'll come to me and be like, do your own version. Well, then I get to have fun. I'll make it unique as fuck. Everything I do is one of a kind. Like,
and not to sound too deep, but like, if it means something to you, then fuck everybody else.
Who gives a fuck? Exactly.
I completely agree with that.
On the same note, that's like saying you can't have a blonde wife because everybody's got a blonde wife. Well, like, that doesn't mean your blonde wife isn't a specific person that has blonde hair.
I like that passionate view of it too.
Is there something great about having a tattoo that nobody else has that's really, really unique? Yes. But that doesn't mean every tattoo is going to be like that.
Yeah.
And the theory of what it is can be different than what the actual application of what it is.
You could have a fucking Mario's face on your arm, and that can mean something entirely different than just Mario's face.
It could be the thing you played with your dad before he died,
As long as you know what it means, that's all that matters. But if that
fucking Mario's face is on every single person you went to school with and everybody you see on TV and everybody on the internet, then you're depreciating the value of being unique. And I feel like so people come to me all the time and they'll say, I want this. Nowadays, people don't come in with ideas. 80% of people, if I can just generalize, don't come in with ideas without a visual, which I'll ask them, bring some visuals, bring some reference pictures. Well, Pinterest went from being like the cheesy thing that your chick was on to being like the reputable source for the best tattoos, which you guys might not know that, but that's literally where it's at. So if you go to Pinterest right now and you type in sleeves, you could find like pages and pages and pages of like model looking people with badass fucking sleeves that they look like they came to the artist with $10,000 and said, this is what I want. I don't care if it takes me 2 years. And you're looking at the picture of it all done and healed and it looks fucking awesome. So people will bring a $5,000 tattoo to you and say, I want this. Well, they only got $300 or $400.
And then they just say, how much this sleeve be?
How much do this sleeve be? But for real. And then I'll sit down with them and show them, all right, there's no way you're going to want to afford this, but what I can show you is this one piece right here that sits at the top of it. I can give you that for $300 or $400 and break it down for you in 2 sessions of $200 or whatever. The bigger picture is people are coming in with pictures of people that are already tattooed. So if you think about that, that's different than it used to be too, because back in the day, flash is what it's called when you flip through a flash rack at a tattoo shop and there's the picture, but nobody knows that. I talk to people every day that don't know that. People that watch Ink Master and it's called the Flash Challenge don't know that it's called that because of the flash on the wall of the tattoo shop.
Something I've learned about just getting tattooed in general is that, like, I think my viewpoint was very much what you're talking about when I very first walked into a tattoo parlor, and someone who's been tattooed multiple times, now I kind of like, hey, this is what my idea is. Can you help me with my idea and make
That's
it
what
something
we want.
and you want them to like, and like if he says, you know, like whoever it might be, whether it be Shadow or anybody else, they say, hey, like this is cool, but it would look better here, or it's going to be hard for me to do this way. And I think anyone should always take that
into consideration. The trick is finding the artist that you want, then knowing their style and their ability, and then asking them how they feel about this specific piece. And the trick is to find a piece that represents the artist, because a lot of times artists will lead you away from what you want just because they're not good at it. But that's kind of what you want if you think about it, because you don't want somebody that's not going to do justice to you.
And I think if someone's if you're going to walk in with something and you're going to say, I want this right here, right now, I don't want you to say anything about it, and they do that, that tattoo will not look as cool as if you walked in and said, hey, I would like to have this tattoo. Please tell me where you think it would look best, or if I can get it in this general area, and how good it will, like how good can you make it look?
I've had a barber for 7 years. Motherfuckers go to Great Clips every day.
Yeah,
I will wait for my barber for fucking a week until you can get me in. I'll pay twice as much.
Hair is long as shit because I just haven't had the time to go there.
But you got a barber. You probably tip him twice as much as you would somebody at Great Clips. You don't question him when you go in there, and when you go in there, you talk about life. You don't talk about him not fucking up your haircut.
Because he already knows what to do, and that there's nothing better than a clean, like the straight shape with the blade. Oh my god!
And that's who I am for my clients. Yeah. And that's what. But see, that's the thing. If you go to a one size fits all tattoo shop, they've got pictures on the wall to pick from. My shop doesn't have any of those pictures to pick from. Everything we do is custom, so it might take you an extra day longer to get it done, because you got to come in and meet somebody, make sure. But this is something forever.
Have you talked somebody out of one?
Every day.
Like a specific, like, is there one that you're like, dude, don't do that?
When girls come in with like an overbearing dude and they want his name tattooed on them, I'll wait till he's in the bathroom and I'll be like, look, you're gonna fucking regret this.
That's a real answer. I like that.
I'm a real motherfucker, bro. But here's the thing, though. My loyalty and my integrity is not based on money.
Yeah,
you can't sway my integrity based on. You wave $1 million in front of me and ask me to do something that takes my integrity away, and I'll be a guy without the $1 million, but I'll have my integrity.
Feel like he has enough respect at his shop. If she were to even tell that dude, like, hey, he just said this to me, that dude ain't gonna do shit because it's his shop, and people. Shadow's well known enough in his shop that he, like, when he's in his shop, I feel like he's pretty well respected, and that even if that girl told that,
but the reason I'm respected like that is because I've been that guy even when I wasn't. When I was at Artistic on 31, which is a popular tattoo shop for you people in Switzerland, popular tattoo shop in our town, or used to be until I opened my shop up. Just they have like, so here's this irony. They've got flash racks that are they've got the biggest flash racks you ever saw. They're like fucking maybe 8 feet tall, and each one of them has got just under like 100 separate floating, like, you know, let's say golf ball to softball size tattoos on them, and you pick each one, and each one, so this might be a $350 tattoo that's like softball size at this shop. On this day, by damn near whoever walks up. If you ask 3 artists in there, they're all probably going to give you a very guesstimated price quote that is, you know, this one might tell you $325, this one might tell you $375, this one might tell you $350, but you're staying within this realm, right? Well, the thing is, that same piece of artwork is in every tattoo shop that is like this kind of tattoo shop. So you are literally, and when they buy this flash piece of artwork, they paid $100 to $200 per set. There's 10 in a set, right? So you're going to want to get your money off of that 20 times over. So they never take that shit off the wall. So every shop around the world has it.
To play the devil's advocate here, if you were to go, do you think that those flash arts, because I personally think that they do serve a positive purpose in some shops, and that like you could go in there and say, well, like, you know, I have
like a jump off point.
Well, I have an idea for a tattoo, and I saw this thing on the wall, and I never really thought of it looking this way.
The problem is flash artists don't like changing the shit.
Yeah.
Because they're not original artists, because they're making more money not having a soul behind what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
If you ask, I'm a custom guy. I like doing, I'm not, okay.
Is it good to find like a happy medium?
You know how much money you could make if you wanted to be a doctor that didn't have morals? You know how much money you could make if you were a lawyer that didn't have morals? Yeah. Because you'd be like, fuck, bring me your money.
Most lawyers don't have morals.
So imagine if you were one that like owned it instead of denied it.
If you're a lawyer out there, I'm sorry, but
yeah. Saul Goodman. better call Saul.
That's Saul Goodman. I never heard that until you just said it like that. That's crazy. But I'm saying like so most tattoo artists don't give a. Well, I'm not gonna say most of them because I'm related to a lot of amazing ones that do give a fuck. But there is like the whole old school mentality of tattoo artists that are like shady, on drugs, will try to like just the creepy vibe. You feel me? Before the tattoo TV shows, that was what a lot of people thought tattoo artists were. I would always get like, oh my God, you're so much more normal than I thought. And then we start looking crazy because we're hanging out with tattoo machines all day long. We end up getting our fucking face tattooed. So we start looking more the part of what the creepy people think, or the people think the creepy shit is. But in a lot of tattoo shops, look, if your light bill is due and it's $250, somebody comes in and they want a $150 tattoo and you don't have any fucking money, and you're like, well, fuck, they don't know what they're getting done. I could tell them it's $270, and then when they say, oh, I've only got $250, you're like, all right, I can do it for $250, and you give them a $150 tattoo for $250. Well, they didn't come to you specifically because you're not a custom artist, you're a fucking flash artist.
Yeah. So
then they'll do that. Well, that's a common practice in most tattoo shops. So, and they're not charging you hourly, they're charging you per piece, and the piece is already on their wall, so they know how to manipulate it. Well, it's that mindset that left everybody in Indianapolis. There are people, I could name you 100 people with shit from this one flash set that was it's called Cherry Creek, and it was super popular back in like the fucking 80s and 90s, and everybody's parents has it, and they all got charged an arm and a leg for it because there's no soul behind it, because you weren't buying art from it. When somebody comes to me, they're buying my art. Yeah. And they're like, hey, I have 7,500 pictures on my Instagram, all tattoos. So you're going through all my art and you're like, I want you. You're amazing. I love what you stand for. I like your colors. I like da-da-da. I want to represent my mom that died. What can we do? And I come up with a concept with you. I come up with a placement with you, da-da-da-da-da, and I draw it for you. I'm not gonna overcharge you on something. You've just given me this huge compliment. Yeah. But that's not what you find in most shops.
That leads me to that question of how do people figure their rates, or how, like, is it based off of solely what you think you can do, or is it?
That's one of those things that is kind of like an industry thing that you know, when you're asking me things I wouldn't talk about.
No, that's fine.
But I'll explain why. I would just think
my assumption, because of the tattoo that I got as a cover up, it ended up being, he told me this is how much it's going to cost, and he was like, it's going to take about this amount of time. So I just roughly broke it down in my mind of it's probably about $100 an hour.
In California, tattoos are 2, if not 2.5 times the price they are here. So we'll say when I go to California, because of the
price of things up there are higher,
or the demand,
because
the talent, or
because when I go out there they book me at double.
Yeah. Because I know the price of living there is like way higher there, and is it solely based off of that then?
The price of living is based on the lack of space, or the lack of availability,
or the amount of people that want to live there.
A 2-bedroom apartment in California. In
$2,300,
Orange County. Yeah, it's between 2 and 3. Yeah, and it'll be smaller than the smallest place here. Yeah. So the thing is, out there, if you want a tattoo out there, you're looking several $100s an hour, and that's just like a general game plan. Yeah. If you're going to somebody that has a specialty, then they're another $50 to $100 an hour. Yeah. And they probably work slower because their specialty, and you know what? You don't need 1,000 people to want you. You need 10 people that can afford you. So that's the thing. It's tattoos, but as a general game plan, tattoos are priced based on complexity and based on uniqueness and based on the prerequisite time it's going to take to make it. And the more in demand the artist, the more they usually charge.
Yeah.
But that's another thing about me, though.
That's just like supply and demand, though. I mean,
But see, I don't charge more because I'm in demand, and that's why I have 8,500 clients.
Do you ever base a tattoo off or the charge of it about how much you don't want to do it?
No, but I can be excited about almost everything. And if there's something I don't want to do, I have 2 people in my shop that specialize in things.
And you're
that
the
I
kind
don't
of person,
specialize.
if someone else is excited about it, you're excited about
I
it.
swear to God, yeah, I can tap into their energy. Their adrenaline will feed me empathetically.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it.
I know this is a probably a silly question, but how did you get your name Shadow?
Oh, such a long story. That's a long one. It was a nickname based in Arizona where I grew up at. Everybody had nicknames.
Yeah.
And it was like I was the only white guy.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like a play on words, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was like yes. So, and then out there, everybody had like tag names and like gang names and shit like that. So there was like, everybody was like, it was like a Mexican neighborhood. It was like all Hispanic, Latin culture or whatever. And some black, but there was only one other white family, and they were like the dorky white people, and not the fucking, but it was kind of like fight or flight, or not fight or flight, but like if you either were down or you got beat up type shit.
I think it's a little bit of fight or flight in there.
Yeah, I think
that's for sure.
I think in the context I was going to say it, I didn't mean it the way it could be interpreted as such.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was a down motherfucker, man. So I fought to be part of it instead of part of out of it. So
I definitely went when I was a kid. I definitely tried multiple times to have a nickname. I feel like a lot of people
you can't
did.
do that. Yeah,
I know, and I didn't know that at the time. I was 10 years old, and I'm like, call me this, and everyone else was like, no.
Right.
But my favorite baseball player when I was a kid, his name is Chipper Jones, and my last name is Jones. And I played baseball.
So
And
you're like, call me Chipper.
I was like, call me Chipper, and I had one season where everybody called me Chipper, and it was dope. It was dope.
Yeah, I'm bringing it back.
And so I was super into it, but
Keeping it relevant.
yeah. But that's cool that like you had a nickname. I've always thought it's cool when people have nicknames, and like
It's cool that I got a cool nickname that ended up becoming relevant to my career.
yeah, the coolest thing I've ever been
couldn't
called is
imagine.
like Jones. My last name, just like, hey Jones.
Now,
Like-
see, here's what's crazy. Listen to this. I got an artist that used to work for me that moved to Vegas, and he called me up and he was like, and he's ironic. He's from New Jersey, so he's like, "Hey, yo, Shadow, can I ask you a question?"
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I swear. And I was like, "What is it?" And he was like, "So I'm thinking, I want to stand out when I go to Vegas." I'll just stop that. I can't keep that up. But I'm thinking I'm going to start. I want to go by a nickname when I go to Vegas, and I don't want to sound like a complete douchebag. So what do you think about me calling myself, whatever? And he was telling me these couple nicknames, and I was like, bro, the only way this is going to work, I said, like, if you were a new kid at a new school, and you got to be so fucking confident to insinuate a new nickname as your actual name.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it was, and I gave him that. So, but then on Facebook, I was making people part of the Ink family page, and some guy was posting tattoo pictures, and I was like, who the fuck is this? And it was dude under his new nickname, and he had all these hashtags with it, and I was like, you go, motherfucker. Yeah, go. Yeah, I was proud of him kind of, because it's hard as fuck to.
Can we hear the nickname?
It was Sunny.
Oh, that's cool.
It was
Yeah.
for I don't understand where
Hey,
he came
Sonny.
from, but the
Hey,
thing
you
is,
Sonny.
but his actual name was not memorable at all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, nothing stood him out.
Sure,
Right?
yeah.
And if you think about Vegas, like you have to have a bigger personality.
That might have been another reason why I wanted a nickname so bad, because my name is Shane Jones, which is lame as shit.
Or SJ or something. Like
I tried to do the SJ thing, but my dad's name is DJ, and he got called DJ, so I can't be like, I'm SJ. Like that's
It's all this overthought has already got you out of the mix.
yeah. But I was also 10, and then
I'm saying at this point right now, if you made business cards and you put SJ on them and you introduced
I'm cool
yourself
with
as
being
such,
Shane now.
I'm just saying theoretically.
I think by the time I was 12, I was like, nicknames are stupid. But then, you know what I mean?
But if you
So-
had one, you'd feel like it'd be your tattoo right now.
yes.
I mean,
See what I did there?
The Juice nickname just kind of stuck, and it's because people thought I didn't like it. So
that's your nickname?
yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
And
so like,
that's
people
why it's
know
called
him.
Juice in the
People
Morning.
know him as
Gotcha.
Juice. Yeah,
Gotcha.
and it was my alter ego growing up. Like
Sweet.
that was the one that was partying and drinking and having a good time and always making sure everybody had a good time. The Justin name,
You drunk bastard.
I kind of just enjoy. Being
Actually, I
that.
think I might try out Dick Rider.
Dick Rider? I think it's implied.
it's definitely
It's implied.
Parentheses,
That's
nothing,
fucked
just-
up.
yeah.
No, yeah.
yeah. Like I mean,
That's crazy. Yeah, you know, the juice is like you know what that means, obviously. Like having the juice.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great movie with
I love that movie.
Tupac.
But having the juice is like being like the man. You got the juice.
And like I said, the time it was given to me, they were like, you know, it was a coach of mine, football coach, and he was like, you remind me of a friend of mine that was nicknamed Juice, and then all the other dickhead football players that I was like hanging out with were like, "Oh, you're fucking Juice," and like making fun of me, and I was just like, secretly in my mind, I was like, "This is kind of a cool name."
Yeah.
And then I got lucky enough that that
he was like, "Guys, stop! Please don't call me that."
I hate when you call me that.
And I got lucky enough that I started like I got into a practice where I actually did really well for a couple practices in a row, and then the coach was like, "Hey, you're going to be the starter." And I was a freshman in high school, and they were like, "You're going to be the starter, so
you got the juice now."
Well, in the grand scheme of thing, I think it worked out for both you guys because I had in high school knew a couple of guys that had nicknames and they didn't turn out. Like I know a guy, his name was Squeak.
Oh, that would suck.
He's a super cool guy.
Squeak.
Really good friend of mine in high school, but just didn't have the coolest nickname, but super funny guy.
You got to run with it, man. Whatever it is.
He owned it. I'll give him that.
I remember there's
how do you own Squeak?
You just do. He did it. You'd have to know him, I guess.
Putting Shadow on my first business card, my very first tattoo business card said Shadow on it, and I feel like that solidified. And then people that I had known that didn't ever call me that.
Have you ever imagined people telling people about you? I've done it multiple times where I'm like, yeah, my buddy's Shadow. And they're like, what?
You got a buddy named Shadow? Yeah, that's like, yeah, yes. So, I never thought about it like that.
You gotta imagine their
I tattooed three doctors, and these they've introduced me to all the nurses and at the Children's Bureau, I'm Shadow.
Yeah.
Like they don't call me, which is only more crazy because now Facebook has forced me to use my fucking government name. Dude, nobody calls me my government name, and Facebook has forced me because I
need to start forcing other people to call me Juice because everybody calls me Justin.
No, then it'll go out
because I introduced myself.
You just stop answering when they call you Justin.
If you do that, I feel like it'll go out the window just like dope.
Yeah. Oh shit, you're no longer. Yeah, but no,
I have to change the name of the podcast,
dude. At the Children's Bureau,
Justin
Shadow
and Shade.
You guys are
fucking lame as shit.
Nicknames are the shit, though, man. I definitely got lucky that it's something tattoo
when we
related.
do the
Justin and Kelly and Shane Jones,
we do
talk
the judgment
NPR.
When we do the Judgment Day thing, and it's like Justin and Shane, I'm just like, that sounds so bad, but
it's Juice and Shane, by the way.
Do you do Juice?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
You haven't listened to it.
No, I obviously don't pay attention to fucking anything.
Damn.
But speaking of Judgment Day, look at me. I'm directing.
Look at that segue.
I'm the captain
Look
now.
at that segue.
Oh, there you go.
I'm the captain now.
So we do a segment every week where we judge somebody in
and
either
every week
personal,
he fucks it up by playing it too early or not fast enough. So
we judge somebody in a personal life or a celebrity or whatever you want to do. So here we go.
This is fun. Not very loud.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Judgment Day with Juice and Shane.
Chipper.
Oh my
I'm
god!
gonna start calling you Chipper.
Don't do that.
I'm going to.
No, now that I look at it, it's like
It's only ironic I would have said that. And
yeah,
that
I look pretty chipper
like
in that picture.
Yeah, yeah, extremely chipper. Chipper in the morning.
Dude, if you don't get it from the baseball player, then it makes it just sound like I'm really happy all the time.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually change this up, and we're going to have Shane start.
Well, I have nothing. I usually wait until you guys say shit, and then I figure it out.
All right. Well, then I'll go ahead and do it. So the guy that I want to judge today is I don't know if you're an NFL football fan, but if you watched the Saints and Vikings game, the Saints DB that completely whiffed on Stephon Diggs, man, that guy's going to hate his life, and I judge him for completely missing and losing the game in the last 15 seconds of the game. I think it was 15 seconds.
So explain what whiffed and
I
Stephon
don't know what it is.
So basically, okay. So basically, what happened was there was only a few seconds left in the game.
Yeah.
All the Saints had to do was tackle a guy inbounds. That's all they had to do, and the game was over because they were leading by 1 point. So Case Keenum throws a pass to Stephon Diggs. The guy defending him. So on the video, the guy defending him literally ducks down and tries to like hit him, but misses completely. Stephon Diggs catches it, turns around, realizes nobody's there, and runs for a touchdown, scores in the last seconds. Game over. Vikings win. So there's a few things that I have with this, but the first thing I want to say is that guy's going to remember this the rest of his life. Like, I mean, he's going to be thinking about this he might get fired. I mean, that's a fireable offense in my opinion as a NFL fan. And also, just make the tackle. They don't have to make the big hit. They don't have to.
And why didn't he do it again?
The theories behind it is because I've watched the video like 30 times. the theory behind it is the guy was going on an outward angle so the guy couldn't get out of bounds. Because if the guy gets out of bounds, clock stops, they get another play,
gotcha.
They get a field goal, whatever.
Yeah.
So if he takes that angle, he stops him from going out of bounds, tackles him in bounds, game over. But then the funny thing is like the angle he took made him
allowed him
completely miss, so that the guy could catch it without being touched at all and score.
So coming from someone that didn't watch it 30 times and watched it 2 times, it looked like to me, which like I didn't look at it that many times, but that he didn't hit him because he thought the ball was still in the air, and if he were to just ream him, then he would have.
But even then, it's going to put you at a field goal, which I guess you could still lose that way. But it's a lot better a chance than them scoring a touchdown and it ending with no time on the clock. So I'm going to judge that guy. I'm going to judge the DB.
Rightfully so.
Make the tackle, form up like a normal tackle. It's what we've been coached as since we were kids.
Bush League move, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Bush League.
I've never watched a football game in my entire life.
Oh my god!
I don't even know what these words are. I know what tackle is theoretically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can tackle anybody.
Yeah, I mean, so I know what that is. Yeah. I swear. You're like naming these people, and I'm like, you really know everybody's first and last name?
Well,
that's crazy.
I don't know. I don't know as much as a lot of the people that
I know people have made it their religion.
So he's in like a fantasy football league, and he is even on the podcast had somebody on that does like picks for fantasy football and stuff like that.
Daily fantasy where you're trying to win money.
Gotcha.
And to me, like I know enough about football where I do know what those things are, and I could probably name a player or two from each team. But there's people out there like your buddy, and he could name every player on every team probably, and to know what their
Paul Lungard, Paulie Sleepers,
and what their skills
no free
are
ads.
And that kind of stuff. So. That's insane to me, knowing that, or like who won this and this year and shit like that. I can't even remember who won the Super Bowl last year.
Can I use my judgment from the Pointless Discussions podcast?
Well, the basketball one,
dude, that one was good.
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm gonna do a bonus judgment today. This was on the Pointless Discussions podcast.
This will just count.
It'll actually release Tuesday, but basically, I want to judge Michael Jordan and his flu game. Because Michael Jordan and his flu game put us on this trajectory.
What the flu he did.
Okay.
I know who Michael Jordan is.
Michael Jordan in his flu game. Yeah. He had the flu. It was a playoff game. He scored like 62 points and they won.
So he still killed it, even though
he had the flu.
Played one of his best games ever.
One of his best games ever. But the reason I want to judge him is he set us on this path of
you raise the bar.
Now everybody has to be on point when they have the flu or sick. And I think that it would be nice to just be a normal person and be able to like get sick and be like, I'm just going to like be sick and complain about it and get away with it.
Superhero having extra superpowers.
I also think on a devil's advocate kind of thing is like that's exactly what we need in America. I sound like a politician. For people to quit being pussies, because like that's the thing. Like like he manned up when it counted, and maybe since somebody else saw that, some kid saw that when he was 9 years old, and now that guy is.
You know what I want to say though is I'm so good all the time that when I'm sick, I have
my half-ass is better than your full ass.
That's why you have no sick days.
Exactly.
Yeah, hashtag.
You used them all.
I don't have any sick days. I've never
had any sick days.
I haven't been sick, and I have been sick, but I also don't count being sick because I just push through and do my normal everyday.
If anything, I do better when I'm sick.
Exactly.
Flu game.
Except for I don't have the flu game. Like when I'm sick, like I'm like about average.
Dude, if you have the flu, like you
I'm not
shouldn't
gonna
be
go
out and
above
about
average.
anyways. I'm kind of
And
confused.
you sure
like,
shouldn't be better at something. What the fuck is that about?
Exactly.
That's it,
I don't
other than
know,
laying
dude.
down.
One time, when
But that's why we're judging him, because he's on another level.
well, okay, I mean,
And he's putting all of us on
I
that
had
level.
somewhat of a flu game myself.
Oh,
When I
yeah?
was a kid, I was like a decent pitcher before everybody got way better than me. But when I was like in like
7th grade was great.
yeah, seriously, it was like probably
Your prime?
yeah, honestly, like I
Chipper.
mean,
You had a pretty good game there, didn't you?
yeah. So
Chipper.
I like 6th, 7th grade, something like that. I played in Beach Grove, T-ball or whatever, but it wasn't T-ball.
T-ball!
Not where you hit off the tee, but they call it T-ball even when you're that. Okay. So anyways.
Coach's pitch.
Am I going to tell a story?
No passive aggressive there.
No coach's pitch.
Am I going to tell the
Full
story?
pitcher and everything because I was the pitcher. But anyways, I was really sick and I felt like shit and I had the flu and I popped a couple, just like some flu medicine or whatever.
That's what I was thinking when you said flu game. Maybe he was on some kind of
and-
like speeded.
And sometimes it makes you feel good for like 4 hours or whatever. So,
Fuck yeah.
So I took it.
Shane was doping.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah.
And then
Can I
it
tell
gave
my
me
story?
enough just forget it.
Go.
No,
Back to you.
That's all right.
No,
You tell it better.
Keep going.
I was on my flu. What did you say? Doping? Yeah, I was. That was the end of the story.
Steroids.
I'm addicted to steroids to this day because
Yeah.
when in 6th grade I took steroids.
Thanks to the flu.
Yeah, that's
I'm
it.
sorry.
No,
Is that really what it is?
Yeah, I
It's the
took
truth?
Steroids. Yep.
And you like them now a lot?
Yep. And I'm. Yeah.
He's jacked,
Yep.
listeners.
It's dope, bro.
Anyway, so to your judgment.
My judgment. You know what? I've never watched a full basketball or football or baseball game ever. So my judgment would be a flu game. That's
Unsports
pretty
related.
fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more theoretically, psychologically motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy that he was better on his off day. That's
Yeah.
pretty like unrealistic and awesome at the same time. You got to wonder like what lets some people be so much better at something than somebody else is. I don't know though. You hear the things about like
Genetics.
Kobe like doing. I don't know. Well, like, theoretically, yeah, maybe, but
A lot
you hear
of it.
But when you hear Kobe, I don't know if you ever watched the Kobe documentary, like the official one, like the HBO one. No, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
That motherfucker when they were saying how he was just like after he'd win a game, he would still be there the next day practicing
Oh,
for
yeah.
like 6 hours. Like,
Same goes for Michael Jordan though.
but it's
I mean,
okay. But how few other people have that same dedication to
Yeah,
their
because
craft?
I mean, pick out
If the top guys have been
Josh
the top guys
Gordon.
because of that,
I mean,
he
but
has all the physical genetics, but
that, but you're also saying what probably 90% of all those people in those shoes, like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, have are dedication.
the work ethic
But
as
that-
well
but
as
then
the,
that's
as well
awesome.
as the
Yeah.
genetics.
I
that's
mean-
all. I mean, I don't know. To me, that's crazy. That's awesome.
No, yeah, it's great. I mean, the amount of things that go into the equation to make them that person is what's impressive.
You got to wonder if the same way that like a mom that watches their kid get ready to like get trapped under a car, that can like have the superhuman strength to
Yeah.
pick
Yeah.
up the car. Do we not have that if we can tap our minds into it?
I just think like I said, the equation of all the things that go in to make someone that way, like dedication, genetics, all those things have to come together in this one thing and make this person this like awesome, whatever they are.
You would call that genetics? That's your own psychological.
No, I'm saying genetics is one of those things that goes into
Yeah.
it. Dedication
It's
is
a-
another
yeah.
thing.
It's like
Touche.
a recipe.
And then you add these
Yeah.
5 other things like punctuality or whatever you want to call it, and,
Yeah.
and you put them all together, it makes it really good. And not,
You got to wonder how much genetics tie into it, though, for sure.
I think it's a large percentage of it, though, for sure.
And then of those people, the ones that have that mentality are the ones that go to the next
But we
step.
can also talk about people like Muggsy Bogues, like who's 5'6" or whatever, or maybe 5'11"
yeah, or
something
Spud
like
Webb.
that. Yeah,
All that-
and
I
those
know the
people-
short guys.
So you got there you go.
Yeah.
Sports.
I
You know
connected because
sports.
I'm short. Yeah,
So
I disconnected
you
with
got to
it.
think those people had to work a lot harder, and they didn't necessarily have the genetics, and that's even a cooler
It's more
story
mentality, yeah.
to me than Michael Jordan or. 'Cause-
Dude, if you think about the whole world, if you think about every single person in the grand scheme of things, there's nothing that Einstein had that we didn't have if we would have started off life
that's
with that
even
mentality.
a quote of his. I'm pretty sure.
Bro,
I don't
it's,
know the quote, but it's something like,
But there's nothing
"I'm not smarter than anybody else. I'm just dead, or it could have been dedicated, or something along those lines."
because
I'm not-
when he would have a thought, he would put 100% behind coming up with the answer to that thought, no matter how like obvious it seemed to everybody else that he was wrong. Dude, did you know that Einstein at 20 years old had already done all the things that we know him for now? Almost all of them, and he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize until he was 50 for the things that he was figuring out when he was 20 because he was Jewish or because he was Hebrew, Jewish, whatever you want to call it. They wouldn't allow him to have the Nobel Peace Prize
wouldn't
because
recognize him for
they wouldn't recognize him, and by the time they did, he didn't want it. He refused it. There's the 12-part. It's like a 12-episode Einstein like reenactment TV show that was on History Channel. which I can't believe I very rarely watch History Channel for anything, but it was literally told like, which is probably not very smart of me, but it's taught like as I said that, I was like, I'm owning something I shouldn't be, but it's like literally taught like a TV. It plays out like you're watching just a regular TV show about a regular guy, instead of it being like some cheesy like reenactment. Bro, it's so fucking awesome when this dude was out here cheating on his wife. He ended up marrying his second cousin. He ended up deciding, one day, I'm going to prove why we don't fall over when we're standing still, or I want to prove why two things that connect are like the most random things that would never make any sense. He's in his class arguing with his teacher,
so
and he gets
like
in trouble.
It's
literally like you're with him from 10 years old until like 50.
See, I don't know if I would like that, because they know specific facts about like, he dated his cousin, this and that, but they don't know like if they're taping him have a conversation with somebody, they don't know what was said in that conversation.
If you watch it, you won't feel like that. I honestly believe that. Any more than say like watching it's not like watching like their depiction of,
because when we were talking about like murder shows and ID and all that stuff earlier, that's my least favorite part about the show, is when they show these like shitty ass reenactments where like the guy's like, and then she's like,
well, the thing is, there was enough stuff written about Einstein, and there was enough stuff in his own writings and enough stuff in his own like documentation, that all they've pretty much done is constructed the story around it. But what was really cool is, look, dude, I've painted 10 pictures of Einstein. I've modeled a lot of my life after just like how unique of a thinker he was, and I've always kind of just felt very connected to his mentality. And when I watched this, I was like, I didn't know any of this shit. And if anything, a lot of it made me almost not like who he was. This dude was cheating on his wife, and she was so in love with him, and he didn't realize it until she died. And then he went over and like fucked his buddy's wife, and like he was a piece of shit. But but what's crazy is that he was such a genius, and the things that made him a genius, he didn't even give a fuck about. And the things that made him like normal, he wanted more of. And it was like, but he was also so like obscure and random. He fell in love with his first cousin and had to lie about it for years, and then married her. And it's so random, but like if you watch it, it almost makes you feel like there is no difference between an Einstein and a me. He didn't
give a fuck what people thought.
He was the original Tupac.
It's a thought that I've wondered before, and I've written it in my notes on my phone. If you're that smart, are you always destined to be unhappy? Because and then it makes me sad, because I'm always happy. So am I really?
Ignorance is bliss, bro.
Man, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Ignorance is bliss, bro.
Like, am I just really dumb? Like, but
no, because you can also find happiness in the most mundane things if you look for them.
And I also think that I feel like maybe I transcend that anger, because I know how to make myself fake it until I make it that I'm happy. Like, so even if I'm not happy about something, I'm like, well, I understand that this is just a thought process that I have, and it releases chemicals, so I'm just going to start
some people that are even smart
acting like I'm happy.
Some people that are necessarily smart doesn't make them people that. So I feel like something that can be worse than just being smart, like knowing things, is what I think of being as smart. But then when you have like an active imagination, that can be negative. I feel like when you kind of like, I mean, that's part of, I think, with someone you would say that would be a trait of someone that is smart, but I think but
it's not quantifiable in a traditional sense.
Yeah, so I feel like when people have an active imagination, that can almost be a negative and may even be correlated to being depressed and stuff, because you are able to run the routes of every scenario. That's what I feel like I do sometimes. Like I go to bed and I lay down and I think about, I'm a worst case scenario kind of guy. I'm like, well, and that's bad. Like,
you're focused on worry. And if you read How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie, what they says is that 80% of the beds in all of the hospitals in the world are filled with people that couldn't stop worrying from taking over their, effectively it kills your gastric system, and it makes your whole stomach get fucked up, and you cause yourself ulcers because you're too busy worrying about all the worst case scenarios to ever make an improvement based on any scenario. So you're too busy overanalyzing all these what ifs, and it fucks your mind up.
But I also feel like it's helped me in the sense that whenever, say the worst case scenario does happen, I'm not surprised by it because it's already happened to me, and I've already gone down every avenue. And I don't just do worst case scenario, I do other avenues too. And I think of all the little different things that could happen, and then when one of them does happen, I've already prepped my mind for that.
You just said it.
And I deal with stress well. Like when I'm put into a stressful situation, I do well. I'm not going to say when it comes to sports and stuff like that, but when I've been put in weird situations, I've always not panicked and surprised myself with the way that I've acted. And I think that's because I'm a worst case scenario kind of guy, in the sense of where I play out all these different and the first one I play out usually is the worst possible thing that can happen.
What the book says is that people that do that to themselves, even though that's a genius way to derive, you're fine. Even though that's like a very intelligent way to do.
He's just going to die soon.
You're going to do well, but you're going to do it with a frown on your face because you're too busy accepting too many worst case scenarios.
Yeah,
so
but I don't necessarily think I accept the fate of the worst thing that I thought.
Here's what the book says. It says that people that think like
I'm
that.
just going based off of what is.
But we all have the same issue because we wouldn't be able to have this many conversations that are similar without this mindset. Yeah. And that is an intelligence within itself, because a lot of people can't even deal with what's in front of them, let alone mentally precede all these thoughts and then think about all these like worst case scenarios of said thought. So what the book teaches you is that there's a formula for beating worry, and it goes back to like World War I is when they first wrote it down. The formula is you need to accurately state your problem in a clear sentence, because a clearly stated problem is half solved, they say. So you state your problem. Number 2, you need to figure out the worst case scenario of your problem. Well, you're literally said everything it is. Figure out the worst case scenario of your problem. Okay, number 3, mentally accept the worst case scenario. Okay, I have AIDS. I'm dying. I have to say goodbye to all my family members, all my friends. Literally, I'm dying in 1 year from now. Number 4 is mentally accept the worst case scenario and then make improvements based on the worst case scenario. Yeah. So that when something that isn't the worst case happens, you've already accepted so much farther than what that worst case is. Then you're like, oh my God, what do you mean? I just got the flu? Well, but I was ready to die.
But I also don't feel like what I do is worry. I don't think it's considered worry because I'm just going through scenarios.
But you just described the textbook formula of worry.
I get it, but then I don't feel any kind of stress from that. I'm not stressed out about stuff.
The act of thinking of all the worst case scenarios is called worry.
I know. I get okay. So I'm worrying, but I'm not stressed out about worrying. If that makes sense, because I don't ever get like where my heart rate goes up and I get hands sweaty. I just am just like calm.
Versus him though, that's saying ignorance is or like the ignorance is bliss. Like I'm always happy because I'm always faking.
I just always feel like I'm on my way to doing the right thing.
He's on the next step,
channeling things out and
working on the next step,
compartmentalizing things. And putting them
I have
places.
said that. I'm very good at.
I can do that too.
If something's bad, it's just like that's bad, but it's over here,
and you can work 3 steps farther or work on a different problem.
I'm good with being in a good mood, even though
I'm always like very like if I'm not in a good mood, everyone can tell. If I'm in a really happy mood, everyone can tell.
That's
and I've
called
noticed
worrying.
That there's people that can like. I feel like you're almost lying to yourself when you
AKA compartmentalizing.
Act like you're in a good mood, but when but you're not. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's good for everyone.
But it's harnessing an energy. You're harnessing the power.
It is good that you're gonna be in a positive mood to everyone that you come into contact with instead of the bad mood that you're actually in inside. Yeah. But it's hard for me to like. I don't know. But
that's why, like, I mean, for example, like my wife and I get along because she's like, you just don't like stress out about stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I do stress out about stuff, but I just don't let you see it, and I don't let anybody else see it.
But that's where we're the same, because if you were to ask my girlfriend, she would tell you that I'm the one that doesn't stress about stuff, and that I'm very like nonchalant about things. But I think it's only because I've already went over the scenarios in my brain.
So you're already like, that's good. I'm got
like,
that.
Well, if that happens, I'm like, it's there. I know it might.
These are what I thought was really intelligent about Einstein's. One of the questions that he was asked was like it was like a Jeopardy kind of situation, and they were asking like these 3 or 4 people like these facts, and he was the one that kept not having the answer, and they're like, well, for you to be the fucking genius here and not having any of these answers, and he said, well, my dear, I do not use my mind as a warehouse for facts that other men can just simply go look up. I use my mind in like as an active engine for whatever the fuck I'm thinking about. So while you're over here, you've divided up 75% of your brain just to remembering other people's accomplishments, and I'm using 75% of my brain on this one question you're asking.
That's a really good point, because I feel like a lot of people do.
That's all college is memorizing facts. That's all high school is memorizing facts.
So being smart can be mistaken as just knowing a bunch of facts, or knowing how to actually take those facts and information that you've perceived in your life and use it as
how applicable are all those memorized facts when you're in a real-time situation.
In an active goal that you're pursuing at that moment.
Yes, fully.
But we've all been in like situations where we talk to somebody that we're like, oh yeah, they know a lot of facts and they know a lot of trivia, but this person's not very bright.
AKA like street smart or can't apply their logic in a daily.
But I know plenty of people that would say that guy's smart because he knew that. Like, no, that
doesn't mean they're smart. That means they can retain information.
Yeah, but it's the irony is people think that they're smart because like another person that might not be having this conversation would be like, oh, that guy's super smart because he knows who won the World Series in 1952, like stuff like that. That's just facts. And like,
it's the same reason we look at high school and think, why didn't they teach us anything useful?
And it's also what I've.
Well, I'm in college right now, and they literally like that's what they do is that you just remember a bunch of shit that you literally forget. I mean, you hang on to the stuff that matters, I guess, but 90% of the stuff I've already learned in college and my all A's and all B's that I've gotten so far, I forgot that shit already.
It's also what I've said though.
Thanks, man.
I've said this multiple times is your brain to me is like a hard drive. So if you choose to fill it with a bunch of this, then that's what you're going to be remembering on a easy basis. Like,
yeah.
And I've thought this because I know friends that can remember lyrics to every single song that they listen to, and they can sing that song off the top of their head without even hearing the music. I can't remember that.
It's like selective remembering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like I can listen to Joe Rogan and tell you all these different things that he's talked about and spout it out like he's saying it, or I'll probably butcher it a little bit, but I can do all right.
Yeah.
And
so the trick to teaching yourself how to memorize stuff for college would be to mentally tell yourself Joe Rogan saying it, write it down like he said it,
or it would be to figure out a way to care about it.
But that's what you care about. So
all
you
it
connect
is
the two things.
I mean, all it is, and probably what the little that I do feel like I learned from college is the parts that I do care about. And the only reason I care about those things is because I care that I want to get a good grade and I care that I want to graduate. So the only reason I'm remembering those things is because I care enough to remember that
When
stuff.
I was in 6th grade, I knew every rap song in the world, but I couldn't memorize anything from school. So I wrote down the preamble and like 2 or 3 other things in rap form, and I still know them.
Like I do
because I connected it to something else that I was savvy with. So that's the thing. You're savvy with Joe Rogan because it intrigued. What if college was Joe Rogan podcast? Then you'd be a fucking scholar. Yeah. So the irony is that so are you more intelligent for going to school and having a degree but not utilizing any of the knowledge that got you the degree, or are you smarter for building your own company and doing this? I mean, what's your end goal?
I've come to the realization that
what do you want to be?
Getting that degree is a tool into getting the things that I want, regardless if I learn anything. Well, I want to go to school. This is definitely something that I want right here to eventually do this and get paid for it, like we talked about earlier. Period. Another goal that I have
a school goal.
Yeah, so I'm going to school for outdoor recreation and ecology. I just recently changed that, but I'm like,
what does that mean though?
I'll tell you. So I'm super into like the outdoors and being out in the woods and shit like that.
Okay.
And I think one of the best paid jobs that you can have in America is a park ranger or anything that works with working in a park and being surrounded by nature on a daily basis.
Sounds awesome.
Teaching kids about the ecosystem, teaching kids about trails and how to make trails, and teaching kids all that kind of stuff.
Fucking park ranger would be awesome.
But at the very end of the day, driving, I have this picture in my head of me driving a truck that's issued to me
to a national park,
into a national park, and doing whatever that might entail.
And you like that or you don't like that?
No, I love that. I actually changed my...
Where would you be going to? Where's a national park?
So they have a government system to where you basically get your degree, you get online, and you put an application to all these. It has like a national service, and you can go like, I want to apply to Montana, I want to apply to Wisconsin.
You can pick where you want to apply.
Well, as long as the job's open. They have a big database of all the jobs that are available. Hawaii, blah, blah. And they basically, if you get hired, they pay for you to move there with your family.
So you're willing and ready to do...
I've had the conversation with my girlfriend, and...
She's down?
Yeah. She's a nurse. You can become a nurse anywhere.
You can be a nurse
She's
anywhere.
A ride or die right there.
Well, we've been together for almost 5 years.
The gangster. You going to marry her?
We're engaged.
Congrats!
And we're getting married in July.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, so, and then once I get my degree and stuff, I'm gonna go look for a job, and whoever picks me up, that's where I'm gonna move, and hopefully that's our plan. If that doesn't work out, there's always even a cooler, I think is still a cool option, is working for like the Carmel Park System or
Brown County.
Brown County it's not, because Indiana only has like
a couple,
2 or 3 national parks, but they have state parks.
Yeah.
So
that's all. And man, there's only got to be so many people fighting for that same degree.
Yeah, but actually it's a pretty like...
It's probably competitive.
It is.
Is it?
It is, because it's one of hospitality and mixed with the outdoors like that is a very like...
Do they get paid
awesome,
well?
Because a lot of people want that job, and
everybody wants that job, and everybody wants to like I said, drive into the woods. I'll drive into the woods every day.
I mean, I've got a buddy that did it.
You get paid really well, and you work for the government.
So you know a good backup plan would be to come up with your second best game plan. Well, utilizing your degree.
Okay.
Because this is something that's pre-existing.
Well, I have. So if I don't get a job working for a national park, I will obviously try to get a job working for a state park, or even a state park in another state to the right or to the, you know what I mean?
So can you start pursuing that now before you get to that point?
So I'll be doing internships with, hopefully I've talked to some people, and hopefully I'll be doing an internship with like Carmel Parks at some point. And then part of my degree is an internship with a national. So like another girl did one at Yellowstone.
I'd find out whatever the place that you wanted. I'd say, fuck it. This is where I want to go. This is when I'm put everything into this one place. I mean, like talking to an outside person.
And I have, I get what you're saying. So I've obviously done that. I'm going to get whatever I can get right out of the gate and move there. And then talk about, initially moving to like, and then I'm going to continuously try to get a job working for Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado.
That's what I was going to say, was find the place you want to go.
That's where I want to go, but I'm not going to sit around and wait.
No, you misunderstood. What I was trying to spit out was, if you found the place that you wanted to go more than anything, and you called them or even flew out to them and said,
do whatever you got to do.
I'm in school right now. What classes do you want me to take so I can be the most applicable for your specific park? So it's not just like I'm a person you choose. Make me the person that you need.
Well, that's
for
what
this.
The degree is for. There's nothing more specific, unfortunately, throughout the.
There's only one course and one degree, not course, but there's only one degree specific.
That's the most specific course in Indiana that you can take for that degree. Damn. Any more specific than that, I would have to damn near move to Colorado, then go to school.
Yeah, gotcha.
Which is not in the cards right now, because we're not going to put that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
I'll bet in Colorado everybody wants to do that job.
Yeah,
I never thought about that.
So I obviously put a lot of thought into.
Been to Colorado?
I want to. Yeah.
Have you been there ever?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was there this past summer.
So was I. It was lit.
Yeah,
literally.
Love it.
Bro.
I did the dispensary thing.
Me too.
I did. We went on 3 different like major trails in Rocky Mountain National Park.
Oh, that'd be so awesome.
I went to Estes Park. I went to Golden, which is where the Coors plant is.
I know.
I went to Boulder.
I bet it was awesome.
Pearl Street in Boulder. I went to Arvada. I went to Lyons. I went to all these different places, and it like everywhere you go is like
it's
what
like
I want to be a part of.
Such a booming economy too. Like everybody out there is so excited to be there, and like everybody's rushing to go there. Mm-hmm. Dude, that tattoo convention was packed. Everybody was so interactive. Everybody had pockets full of paper.
Everybody's nice too,
I
could have one mean person.
Bro, I signed autographs. I like went out there. Motherfuckers acted like I was on. It was like the most inviting, amazing feeling I got. Everybody came over. They were giving me nothing but compliments. I'm like, I go to conventions all around the world, and a lot of times people are very guarded. Yeah. And I went out there, and they were like, but maybe that's the weed. Maybe it's the environment. Maybe it's the money that's flourishing in their economy.
Just like we talked about what makes a Michael Jordan. All those different things go into that to make it a special thing.
It was nice, though, man. I liked it out there a lot. I got to hop up and pee. Where's the
No, you're good. It's right out there and straight, and it's to the right. Straight and right. But yeah, I mean, I think that we've gotten into a lot of different subjects, and I think that we're getting close to the time that we should probably wrap it up soonish. But
yeah, sure. Do you want to throw give people a better understanding of what we're trying to do with the video camera and how we'll do it again?
It'll get better. I think I'm already thinking of things, so I don't want to like say it specifically, but the live thing was working well. But I got to figure out how to use the live camera like the standard recording camera.
I was going to tell you in the beginning, it's probably pissed a lot of people off, but I literally
was clicking.
It was doing so much random shit. It was like it was on me for no reason, and it was zooming in on people.
So I got to figure out how to turn off the auto thing, if we can't figure out how to turn that off, then I might just have to do just YouTube, not live stream. And if we're going to live stream, use an iPad or something. But yeah, I mean, it's something that we're using to grow our reach in the video, because I think people like to see who's here, what they look like.
Definitely excited.
Be able to vibe with them a little bit more. And I think this podcast has a lot behind it, and we're putting a lot more behind it than what I was doing towards the beginning and middle of last year before Shane became a part of it. So I appreciate you taking your time and doing it, because, by myself, I do have a lot of energy, but there's only so much that I can give to it before I get burned out.
I genuinely like doing this. Anything that I don't genuinely like doing, I don't do. Mm-hmm. So that's how I like doing it.
Yeah.
And I just, like I said, when I very first texted you, I just said I want to be a part of it, and it still stands to this day where I'm just trying to
and it's gonna be something that we're gonna look back on this and be like, man, that was not what I thought it was, or not what I thought it was gonna be.
I also can't wait to look back and say, like, to what we think is one of our best podcasts right now is one of our worst podcasts. And
It's a great feeling because I have those podcasts.
And I know, in the sense that, like, already to me right now, I'm like, wow, it gets better than this, but it will. And then we'll look back on this one day and we're like, wow, that was crappy. But to us right now, this is sky's the limit, and you know.
And I think that the guests that we've had have done a fantastic job of just like being open and everything. I think that also is a testament to us as well, because
makes our jobs a lot easier.
Yeah. And it just is a simple process because you don't have to talk a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a talking motherfucker.
And if you guys saw the Facebook Live video earlier, we did have a painting.
Yeah.
Or was this considered a painting or what?
Yeah, it's a painting.
Okay, so we had a painting hung behind us. We still hung. Hung. That's what I said. Yeah. Hung. Sorry. That's somebody's last name. Anyways. What a nut. But we had it hung behind us, and we that's a painting of shadows that he's working on and is not finished. And our idea is to basically get video of him working on it and finishing it, or not finishing it, but going through parts of it to show you guys how what the kind of steps that it goes through to make something like a really cool lion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
ornamental abstract lion.
An ornamental abstract lion.
Word.
And so at some point, whether it be on this video or attached to this video or later on, we will have a video of him basically doing some work on this
when
badass
are you releasing
painting.
This?
This podcast is going to go up right when we're done.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because
the video I'll mess with and see what we've got.
Gotcha.
Yeah, usually we do the recording at 1 p.m. on Sundays and then release it at midnight. And tonight we're way past midnight, and we're going to release it probably, what time is it now?
3:30.
Yeah, and it'll probably be up by 4.
Yeah, 4:30, awesome. 4 or 4:30. So
awesome.
But they're getting this when they get it. So
yeah,
this is fun.
You'll get your juice when I say you get your juice.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is fun. I appreciate you guys inviting me, man.
Shadow, tell everybody where they can find you on social media and all that stuff.
Oh, my social media, my Instagram is Shadowink, SHADOWINK. My YouTube is Shadowink Tennyson, TENNISON. My Facebook is the same. My Twitter is MF Shadowink.
I'm going to follow you on all that stuff.
You should.
I already follow you on Instagram. I didn't know there was all of that
Twitter
stuff.
For
motherfucking Shadowink, baby. Yeah, there was already some punk ass bastard that was Shadowing. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I love the motherfucking Shadowink.
Motherfucking Shadowink, baby.
I love the
and
baby
then
part.
my what do you call it? My Snapchat, which is booming out of fucking control, is Shadowink. My como se dice, SoundCloud and Reverb Nation are both Shadowink. It's pretty much the same everywhere you look for me.
And just Google it.
Google me, bitch.
And then, like we always tell people that come on the show, once you've been on the show, well, I've obviously...
I mean, we already followed you, but I'm going to follow you on more stuff.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, I'm a fan of you, obviously, but now as the podcast, we are a fan of you, and anything that has to do with you or anything that you promote, we now promote.
Awesome.
As long as it's appropriate. Yeah. So,
where do you guys... What's your most favorite social media for the podcast?
Definitely. Well, we obviously stream. We're going to start streaming on YouTube, so that'll be what we stream with, and with the Apple. But when it comes to like getting our stuff out there and stuff, I would probably say Instagram.
Have you thought about using Instagram to like show clips of it, or maybe even like host parts?
I've done a few clips.
We've dabbled.
I just need to get more video.
And now that we have this video camera, we're going to take little slots of said.
What I want Shane to do is I want him to listen to the podcast and write down the times, and then I'll edit the video.
And I will totally do that because I have not listened to a single podcast that I've been on. And usually, if we do it at 1, I get off work, go listen to it at like 12:30, like right when it comes out.
Yeah.
So I just need to write down some times, and then we'll be able to take those clips and post them on Instagram as kind of funny little videos.
Yeah.
And we've been working on our Instagram story, kind of just posting like fun little things. Like we went out and had some drinks the other night with my cousin and played the punching game where you like the douchebag punching game. Yeah. And
very douchebaggery.
I won. Anyways.
And I won. Flex.
Barely.
What'd you get? What was your number?
864.
Damn. Damn.
And I was like 10 away and didn't even like swing into it.
He's
that
like
hard.
a foot taller than me. And anyway,
I was gonna say, he played it off that he was.
I'm a ninja. It's fine.
Tight.
It's fine, really.
No,
but yeah, so we're definitely working on this social media stuff, and we've got a lot of good insight from Shadow, and we're gonna get some more insight from him. And
so your guys' goal is to be a household name, effectively. Yeah.
And what I want people to do if they're listening, subscribe on iTunes, write a review on iTunes,
you got to do that.
Or
Comments.
Apple Podcasts now, because the way that the show gets more popularity on Apple Podcasts is the more reviews, the more ratings you get, and the more subscribers you get, the more you're going to show up when somebody searches you. Mm-hmm. So subscribe, rate, review. That's what I say all the time.
And we have
hashtag all three of those: subscribe, rate, and review.
And we have big plans for YouTube. So eventually, once we get those videos up and rolling on YouTube, which we already have the videos on there, they're displayed with the logo in the back, but we will have full videos of us sitting here talking with our guests. And we want you to comment, share, all that stuff you do on YouTube, what else do you like? And definitely give us any kind of feedback throughout any kind of social media to tell us.
You guys will obviously be in the comments answering all the comments and stuff like
absolutely.
that.
Yeah, like, it'll just
I
be
think that
me
feedback
like,
is very
you,
important.
I'm not a dick diver.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Dick diver? Oh, wow. That's
Freudian.
So fighter.
Dick Rider.
Okay. So
whatever you do with the dick, just don't.
Okay. So Fighter and the Kid, another podcast I listen to, they always joke. They have these shirts that say official dick diver, and it's like a diver on the shirt. It's pretty funny.
I do like that.
That's where I got that from. But
Dick on the break. Good save. Gotcha.
I don't do any kind of business with any dicks,
activities.
But
Gotcha. Any more? Those days are over.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I've already been there.
Shout out to my girlfriend.
All right. So what do we close with, Shane?
I hope you guys like the podcast, and hopefully the juice was worth the squeeze.
And what are we going out to tonight as we wrap this podcast up?
So we're still recording.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I think
that you paused it.
Since
I restarted it, sorry.
So in the spirit of having Shadow here, Shadow's going to give us a little outro telling us what song we're going to listen to, and then we're just going to listen to it, and then we'll see you guys next Sunday.
And I hope the juice was worth the squeeze.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys having me on. This is fucking awesome.
Thanks, man.
All right, this is Shadowink featuring Kasky. The song's called Swangin'.
There's probably an ad because... No, I'm just kidding. Because it's a good video.
I don't like it, but you might.
So you wanna feel your walls vibrate and your heart gyrate to the rhythm of the 808. Hungry like I want it all, I wait with the perfect timing and the bass got your heart in a race. Knocking pictures off the wall in the whole crib, sounding like a full clip, fucking like a fucking earthquake. Swinging low when I lean to the left, so clean as a blessed. Motherfuckers gon' watch me do my thing. It was something like an average day. Put a plan to the paper, hit it all with the goals of the gate. They be mad cause I be all in the game. So many frauds in the game, you can hardly tell a hawk from a lane. Who's gonna be the prey? Who gon' be the predator? Who give up anyway soon as they see a competitor? Who's saving every day? Who running from a creditor? Some people want it all but never figure out the register. The petty shit don't faze me. Take it with a grain of the salt to the thumb when they say my name in vain. All I ever wanted was some paper and a dame. Little bra on my ride, sliding down, gripping grain. Riding leather and some wood plus a full clip. One up in the chamber, slurring cause I'm all in the pain. Tatted up like the ballers who game got them calling my name, but it ain't a basketball. So you wanna feel your walls vibrate and your heart gyrate to the rhythm of the 808. Hungry like I want it all, I wait with the perfect timing and the bass got your heart in a race. Knocking pictures off the wall in the whole crib, sounding like a full clip, fucking like a fucking earthquake. Swinging low when I lean to the left, so clean as a blessed. Motherfuckers gon' watch me do my thing, really love to make them hate.
Poppin' seals, lawyer hit my line, said he beat my gun charge, bout to give me my concealed. Only certain things I could reveal, man, that's word to the 48 laws. You lost it in the field, I'm flossing in the shield. They wanna body me, yeah. Your destiny ain't like the lottery. I saw the shape of your hands, it's like pottery. My lines poking your brain with the lobotomy. If God dead, y'all worshiping the economy. You ever met a saint with his face tatted? I got love for my peace, but you talking to a dumb motherfucker if they tell you that I ain't savage. We keep fire, the kind of police fire. We started there, never be ceasefire. A word like Kevin Gates, I don't get tired, and I don't know how to retire.
So you wanna feel your walls vibrate and your heart gyrate to the rhythm of the 808. Hungry like I want it all, I wait with the perfect timing and the bass got your heart in a race. Knocking pictures off the wall in the whole crib, sounding like a full clip, fucking like a fucking earthquake. Swinging low when I lean to the left, so clean as a blessed. Motherfuckers gon' watch me do my thing, really love to make them hate. With no words, dog. I can trap a fucking feeling on canvas. I could change the fucking world, what you heard, dog. If they just give me a chance, God grant this. I'll be wishing to the man and the stars, sitting right behind Mars in the solar system, singing my song. Please help me share my soul with the world, share my soul with the girl. Help me to between right and wrong.